came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
That boy's good.
Good and terrible.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say.
This is the Mike Rutherford Show on the Big X.
Sportos, motorheads, geek bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Welcome to the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
All right. Welcome, everybody. This Tuesday, December 9th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, Louisville's newest construction management company. We are coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios here in the heart of festive Louisville, Kentucky. Cards fans, you can incubate your inner entrepreneur with U of L's top-ranked Innovation MBA. In just 12 months, gain the confidence and the connections needed to spark your entrepreneurial spirit. Learn best practices from U of L's award-winning faculty, serial entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and national business leaders, all while you're competing for thousands of dollars in startup funding and business plan competitions. Start your journey today. The first step is hopping online and visiting business.louisville.edu. We are on the air today from 2:33 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming across the land, including on the Big X Sports Radio YouTube channel, airing live on WBNA Channel 21. You know us better as the Big X. Mike Rutherford and Roman Kelly with you on a Tuesday edition of the show, diving deeper and deeper into the holiday season. Also deeper and deeper into what feels kind of like an old bye week, just because the Louisville basketball team on the men's side doesn't have a game until Saturday. Football obviously has ended its regular season. We're not in the throes of the day-to-day, oh my God, this game just happened, oh my God, this game's just about to happen type radio. But there still are plenty of things to talk about on the basketball side of things, a couple of things to talk about on the football side of things, lots of things to talk about on the Game Day Men's Health text line at 502-414-1450. That's the number to weigh in. Questions, comments, concerns, topic ideas, whatever you got. Fun facts, trivia, shots at me, shots at Roman, whatever you got today, we'll take it on the text line. We're going to say hi to our guy, Roman Kelly. You just heard him on Running with Roman. You'll hear him again on the Ticket Punchers from 5:30 to 6 today. Rome, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, Mike. Excited to be in here. Feeling well. I've got some good news today.
Okay.
Some play-by-play, some PA announcing. Someone recommended me for some PA announcing happening at St. X this weekend. Not for St. X, for I've already forgotten the name of the.
Oh boy, not a good start.
Not a great start for me.
Not ideal. They just took it away.
They did. Now I can't do it. Made Hoops.
Okay.
High school basketball. They're coming to Kentucky and playing at St. X. Shout out to Cole Thompson over at Collegiate recommending me for this. So
who is Made Hoops though? Is this like a academy?
I believe so.
Made Hoops. Okay. If they're playing St. X, they better. Yeah,
well, it's like a 4-game situation. I think it's like a tournament setup, maybe an AAU tournament setup.
Okay. So they're like the organizers?
Yes.
Okay. That makes more sense. I mean, X has a squad this year. So whoever they're playing, one, you better not screw that up because they're the number one team in the state. Two, whoever they're going to play better be ready to go. Not only are you taking on the number one team in the state, but you got Roman Kelly behind a microphone talking about your players. Step the game up. This is a showcase opportunity for you. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Good.
When I channel my inner Lance McGarvey, make sure my 3 calls right. I'll be doing that kind of thing. Hopefully they've got pronunciations for me so I don't mess up anything because there's going to be parents directly in there, I imagine.
No, I'm sure there will be.
Which kind of, that's the scariest part, really. Just the names with the parents physically in there. It's one thing when I'm at Midway on the stream and half the kids are not from Kentucky and I'm sure their parents are watching on the stream, but this is different. So that'll be interesting, but I'm excited. Paid gig, doing PA announcing. I've done that once already or a few times already for soccer, but not for basketball. So that happened today. Painting the bathroom up today as well.
Nice.
Painting some trim, taped up the wall, doing it the right way. Still got some paint on the wall, really aggravating, but Things are happening. Being an adult.
Good. One of my buddies, I think I mentioned this last year because we had Tony. This is back before John Spears threw a hissy fit and threatened to quit the station if he didn't get his time slot moved. I'm joking. But we had that year where Spears was in front of us, and Tony Burke was, he's always in there with him, and Tony coaches freshman basketball. So I think I'd said one of my best friends has a son who's playing basketball at St. X, and he's a sophomore now. He's getting some run on the varsity team. And so my buddy came to that little Christmas party we had on Saturday night, and they had just had, I guess, their second game of the year, and they played Cooper, who's, I think, went to the state tournament last year, so a reigning region champion. And I was like, well, how did it go? And my buddy said, St. X scored 35 points before they missed their first shot against Cooper in that game on Saturday. So, yeah, they're pretty good. They've got a couple high D1 prospects, including Josh Lindsay, who's going to wind up being one of the best players in that class of, would it be 28? I
believe so.
Yeah. So I said, my buddy's kid asked to donate money to St. X basketball, which, they're like, we need money for travel tournaments. I'm like, aren't you the biggest private school campus in the United States of America? I feel like this money should be going somewhere else. But they were asking for it, so I donated. And I texted him and I said, the only thing that I'm asking for in response is a verbal from Josh Lindsay to U of L. And he said he's going to get it done. So I'm actively working on the Josh Lindsay recruitment.
Donating to St. X.
Donating to St. X, yeah. He put that in like the voicemail. He was like, I know you're a Trinity guy, donating to St. X. I was like, well, when one of your best friends, old teammates, sends his kid there, what are you going to do?
Do you have any buddies that went to St. X with you, or maybe that you just know of, not buddies potentially, that like they would have refused to do this because
you mean that I went to Trinity with?
Yeah, sorry. They would have refused because it was St. X?
Yeah, probably. I never, and this specific friend was kind of like me. Like, our dads didn't go to Trinity, so we enjoyed our time there, but we're not full on like rah, like bleed green. I can't even imagine my kid going to St. X type. My brothers went to Ballard, my dad went to Mayo, my mom went to. I was the first private school kid. I was going to be the greatest quarterback in the history of the world, even though Brian Brown was a year behind me and I was 5'9". So I was the first one to go to private school. And so I guess maybe it's not in your DNA as much as it is when like your dad went to St. X or Trinity or your grandpa went to St. X or Trinity and all this stuff. But I do have friends that would very much be like, yeah, I'm not donating to St. X athletics. Or like if my kid wants to go to St. X, I'll jump off a bridge. I'll die. Like, if my kid wants to go wherever, I think that will be just fine. But I do have friends that are like that. It's,
it's crazy.
Different strokes. I mean, would you, if little Roman Jr., if he wanted to go to Wagner, would you just kill him? Just be like, no.
You're homeschooled.
Yeah. You're a Raven through and through. You're a rebel. No more of this woke nonsense. You're a rebel, by God. Ain't no Ravens out there. You're sure as bleep not a Wildcat. You're going to Atherton.
Probably.
Really?
No.
I was going to say. You don't strike me as that type of.
Not at all.
Yeah. I don't think the Atherton pride's running through your bones.
I think I texted you this. I don't remember. But those pinstripe pants that Indiana wears on the sidelines, Atherton has like, that used to be their thing back in the day.
Really?
Except with their colors, maroon and the gold.
I didn't know that.
And they when I was a sophomore, I believe the varsity team, like they dressed up as like the 70s Atherton basketball team with these old warm-ups and just wore like some fake afros and stuff.
That's
and
cool.
They wore those pants, and now I feel like I need a pair of those. I was like, yeah, I need to rock the Atherton pinstripe basketball pants.
Did the white kids do the fake afros?
They did.
Oh, yeah. I would have not felt.
They did the colored ones though.
I would have not felt comfortable doing that. I'd have been like, no, I'll do like a fake, like old school crew cut. I'm not. I don't need a picture of this anywhere out there. I don't know what's gonna happen later in life. I don't feel like this is a good look for me.
Well, interestingly, there was only like two white guys on varsity that year, and they were like by far the best two players. Like one walked on at Louisville, one walked on it, or went to another school to play. So that's probably why they got away with that.
I guess you can just do whatever you want when that's the case.
Yeah, when you're scoring 40 a game.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Do what you want.
So a little tired today, Roman. A little extra tired, more tired than usual. Virginia had her first Christmas performance at her new school this morning. Very big day. And you'll learn this at some point in time. When you've got programs like this or any kind of show for kids of a certain age, basically any young age, it's a war to get the best seats. Like, all-out war. And I never had to worry about this at our old school because my mom is the director of the preschool where John goes and where Virginia used to go. So she would just, she'd save seats to the front for us.
Reserved seats.
Yeah, very easy.
VIP action.
Exactly. We could just roll in like 15 seconds after the thing started and just cut hundreds of people and go right to the front. It's great. We didn't do that, but we could have. Now we don't have that insider edge. So you got to do what you got to do. So they put the word out there. If you came in the morning, early on, before school, and help set up chairs and the stage and all that good stuff, you got to have reserved seating. So I was like, I'm on it. I'll take one for the team here. So went down there. Thankfully, there were lots of people doing it. It's like the inside track. Stacked some chairs, put some tables together, loaded the stuff up, got the second row seat. So we were good to go for Virginia's show, which I think started at 10. So stacked some tables, got home, took John to school, came back, had like 10 minutes. Mary and I went to Virginia school, watched her performance. It was adorable, fantastic performance. She was great. And then came back home and had like an hour to work before coming here. So I didn't get the extra. It cost me like an hour of sleep. It's key to a guy like me. I'm running on a schedule.
Yeah, you're a night owl at this time of year.
I got a routine going. Yeah, not as much as I used to be, but still, my restless legs keep me from sleeping well. It's terrible. The whole thing is just awful. So any extra hour early in the morning is huge for me. So I had to get the extra coffee going today. We'll be okay. We'll fight through it. But this is holiday season now, Roman. It's a battle. Got kid stuff going on. I'm going right from here to it's Virginia's. She's got like a dance show right after this. Going right there. It's show week. So parents are allowed to come in and watch their performance. So we got that going on. It's all happening. It's Christmas time. John's got his first program coming up. He's never been able to do the programs before. We're very curious to see how that goes. No idea. Virginia was just like 2 years old, born for the stage, curtsying, kissing babies, waving to the crowd when she got up there. John, very different personality. No idea how that's going to go.
Loves Christmas, though.
He loves the holidays. So, but he also doesn't like tons of attention like Virginia does. Most kids they're terrified of big crowds and stuff. When they did like a dress rehearsal for this. She's in another play coming up this weekend. They did like a dress rehearsal for it. And she was like, is this what it's going to be like when we perform it for real? And Mary didn't really know what she was saying. And she was like, yeah, like, you're doing the whole play. It's going well. And she's like, so there won't be like people. And Mary's like, well, no, there'll be people. And she's like, people I don't know. And she was like, yeah, like, parents and grandparents. And she got like so happy. Like all she wants to do is perform in front of big crowds. So she'll be ready to go. I think her second play is like this Sunday. She's got a line. She's practiced it. She knows it. She's going to kill it. She's an angel. John, we're less certain of. But the festivities have started. We're ready to go. We're rocking. But yeah, the sleep is growing light. But we're okay. We'll fight through it. What'd you get into last night? Were you watching Monday Night Football? What was up?
Yeah, I was. I can't really remember what I was. I fell asleep on the couch, woke up at 4 a.m., had to get in the bed. Ugh. That's never fun. I was working Pacers till about 9:45, 9:50. Yeah, watching Sunday Night Football, making dinner, tortellini last night.
Ooh, look at you.
It was the Trader Joe's frozen kind.
Nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody shame you for that.
Rotisserie chicken, pesto sauce. You can't beat it. It's actually like my favorite meal.
I enjoy tortellini with pesto. It's delicious. Well done. Don't let anybody tell you that's not cooking. It's absolutely cooking. You don't have to roll the noodles yourself. Come on. You're fine. We watched so John was very excited. I think I mentioned this yesterday. First time in his life he's ever asked about a sporting event. And it was because they were doing Monday Night Football with the Monsters, Inc. theme on Disney Channel and ESPN2. And so 2 nights ago when he's taking a bath, he's like, who are you going for in the football game? I was like, what? And then I didn't realize he'd seen a million commercials for this Monsters, Inc. coverage. And Monsters, Inc. is his favorite movie. So last night he watched a little bit of the pregame stuff. But the 8:15 kickoff, that's bedtime. So he didn't get to watch any of the game. I had left the TV on, the pregame stuff on the Monsters Inc. I ended up watching the Monsters Inc. broadcast pretty much the entire night. Like, one, out of just pure laziness, not really caring that much about the game, and then two, general interest. Like, it was somewhat entertaining. It was kind of fun. I bet the under in the game, which hit by the hook, which was lovely to watch as time went on. But he woke up this morning and he wanted to watch football or something like football, which made me happy. So we flipped on the broadcast. He was loving it. Hopefully he's watching more of it now as he's back home. But it was kind of, I hadn't watched the Simpsons one. I think they did a different one, like SpongeBob a couple years ago.
Yeah, with the slime.
Yeah, I hadn't watched any of those just because I had no real reason to.
Watch the SpongeBob ones.
I enjoyed it. It's not something that I wouldn't watch if I didn't have kids, even though my kid wasn't watching last night. But I would have had no interest in starting it. It was enjoyable. Props to Dan Orlovsky for, they were good sports about the entire thing. They had some cool built-in features. They're trying to get kids into football.
He talked about it on Pat McAfee today, why he does it.
What did he say?
His kid actually has autism.
Oh,
and
wow.
is like a big Monsters Inc. kid, and like loves the fact that it's like dad talking about Monsters Inc. on the air and kind of goes crazy about that. So he hopped on the opportunity to do it. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do something like that just because, Dad's on the radio every day here. Dad's been on TV a handful of times. The kids have never cared once about like me being on the radio or me being on TV. I flip on one of the ACC network appearances. I'm like, hey, who's that? And they're like, Daddy. And they're like, back to Big City Greens, please. Or like back to, Bluey. Just they could not care less. When I was growing up, my dad was on TV a handful of times for various things. And like I would tape it and watch it on replay. He'd be on. It'd be a minute and a half segment on the news. I'd watch that VHS tape like 35 times. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Maybe if I was on talking about Monsters Inc., they would think it was a lot cool. The only time Virginia has ever cared about me being on radio was the day after she saw the new Wicked for good. She wanted to come on the radio show so she could give her thoughts on Wicked. And like I jokingly said, yeah. And then Monday rolled around and she was like, all right, I'm ready to go. I was like, what? And I think this is right after we had a big basketball. We'd beaten Kentucky in football, 41-0. And I was like, I don't think we have time for your Wicked segment on the radio show today. But she was ready to go. She was ready to go with me to radio and just take over. Only time she's ever cared about me being on radio. Doesn't think it's cool. Doesn't think that it's, still thinks Dad's a loser. But if I was talking about Monsters, Inc., or I guess Wicked in this case, maybe the kids would tune in.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day we'll get. Maybe one day I'll be cool enough to do a Monsters, Inc. themed sports radio show. We'll get there. It'll be fine. Like we said, it's Tuesday of a light week in the world of U of L athletics. We've got a couple of pieces of news, a couple of basketball recruiting nuggets to get to. We've got a handful of basketball thoughts that are left over from yesterday's show. Football is very quiet outside of everybody just making fun of Notre Dame. I haven't gotten my fill of making fun of Notre Dame. I'm still liking every tweet that I see. You had the AD making the media rounds today. That generated a whole lot of other things going on out there. So there's still things to talk about. But it's calmed down a little bit here, Roman. We have a little bit of a gap, if you will, in the basketball season.
Bit of a break here.
Which is fine. It's nice to
catch
catch
our baked beans bowl.
It's nice to catch your breath every now and then. What I wanted to start off with is there's an interesting thing happening right now with regards to Jeff Brom and the football program. So we still don't have the Jeff Brom contract extension ironed out. There's been no announcement on that front. But something that came up today that was brought to my attention that I think is worth talking about. So when all the stuff was happening last week, when the announcements were being made about Penn State's coming after Jeff, or Penn State made Jeff an offer, he's saying thanks but no thanks. He's got no interest in being anywhere other than Louisville. There were a handful of stories written about this. Jody Demling wrote a story over at Cardinal Authority, which is, of course, Louisville's 24/7 sports site. And a lot of people noticed that there was one snippet in particular where it said, Brom is negotiating his new contract. Apparently his biggest ask, his biggest interest is in having NIL that's competitive with the rest of the country. And one source told us that Brom was told by someone at U of L that the NIL money will be there to win a national championship, right? we talked about it on the show. It was a big talking point. We had a couple of people text into the show and say, do you think that this is like legitimate? I was alerted to this today, so I checked it out myself. That little snippet from that story has been removed. I don't know if that was not supposed to get out there or if it did get out there and then whoever said it wanted to walk it back. I didn't hate the way that it was initially phrased, and we talked about this on the show as well, because if you're Louisville, saying you'll have enough money to compete for a national championship and saying you'll have as much money as anybody else in the sport that can win the national championship, those are two different things. I think we all are of the understanding that we're never going to have the most money in college football. I mean, we're probably never going to have the most money in college basketball, but we'll be a lot closer on that front than we will be in football. If you're trying to tell me we're going to have NIL that's super competitive with Ohio State, yeah, I'm not buying it. Ohio State can buy and sell like $1 billion franchise. But if you're trying to say we can be at least in the ballpark, we can be within shouting distance of the Ohio States, the Alabamas, hell, the Indianas now, I guess at this point, of the world, and you can, with your coaching skill and having the right combination of recruiting, talent evaluation in the portal, talent evaluation in traditional recruiting, you'll have enough to get those types of players in and win a national. I can buy that to an extent because that's just semantics. You could have, let's say Ohio State's roster fund is like $300 million. If we have like $100 million, it's clearly not close to what OSU is working with, but it's enough to say, like, we could beat that team. You can go out there and get special players with that type of money, and you could build a roster that if Jeff Brom's got the goods, he can go out there on any given day, could beat just about any team in college football. I think you could say that about 2 years ago, our team. They went 8-4, but they played right with two different playoff teams and one that was narrowly left out of the playoff. They beat the ACC champions. They could have played with just about anybody. So theoretically, you could say, well, they had the money, they had the funding, they had the roster to go out there and win a national championship. But are we at all worried about that line getting walked back a little bit now after it got shared pretty furiously across the timeline last week?
A little bit. Because someone notable enough had to say that for Jody to hear it. Someone that, and that the fact that it got removed, I don't think there's maybe about it. One of the two reasons you've just stated has to be, in my opinion, what happened. Some words got misconstrued a little bit potentially, or they actually didn't want that being put out there.
Maybe Jeff is trying to use it a little bit more in negotiation. Maybe he's like, hey, if you guys are telling other people this, I want $500 million to spend on football. And they're like, well, we can't really do that. The whole thing is
that also like one person's opinion is also my thing. To win a national championship will be there. Are you just saying that? Do you know what that even takes?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can say that. It's a purposefully vague statement, which to me says, like, if you're Louisville, could you win a national title with a $50 million roster? Theoretically, sure. We're seeing right now the highest paid roster.
Won one with this roster if you just had Mendoza at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that, and I know Indiana's got a competitive roster. They're throwing a lot of money at football. I don't think if you stacked up their payroll against Ohio State's, it would be like they're not spending as much as OSU on their players, but clearly they have a team capable of winning a national championship. So I'm not overreacting to it. I just thought it was really interesting that statement, which got so much attention, is now not actually appearing anywhere online and print.
A vague statement had to be removed worries me.
A little bit too. I don't know what's going on there.
It already didn't have much concrete to it. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. We got some basketball recruiting nuggets to get to after the break. A couple of basketball thoughts to talk about as well. I will spend at least 1 minute being upset about the Cincinnati Reds. We'll do that after the break. So keep it locked right here if you enjoy that sort of thing. It's a little bit of summer radio today. 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. It's the 3 o'clock hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Typically on this show, Roman, Mike Rutherford Reds, not rants, stern monologues, are reserved for late spring, summer, right? When we don't have stuff going on. You've heard your fair share. It's a tortured fan base for a broken franchise. We made the playoffs, though, last year, and, you know, that was nice. We didn't really earn it, but we made the playoffs. There's been a lot of hope that the Castellinis, Nick Kroll, the powers that be among the Reds franchise will go for it this offseason because you've got a solid nucleus in place. You've got as good of a pitching staff as you've had in a long, long time. All of these things are going down. And the name that has emerged over the last several months is Kyle Schwarber, former Cub star, Philly slugger, one of the best left-handed hitters in baseball. Exactly the type of player that Cincinnati needs. The lack of power in their lineup. They couldn't hit home runs last season. They need a big left-handed bat. They wanted to go all in, and it helped that Schwarber, who grew up, I think, 20 minutes outside of Cincinnati, grew up a diehard Reds fan, was a Reds fan when he was playing baseball at Indiana, from all accounts, wanted to go play for the Reds. Are you ready for a little inside info story, Roman?
Yes.
So, as this was all happening, I didn't get my hopes up. I was like, it's the Reds. They've already said we don't really want to spend a ton of money. Our payroll is basically going to be the same this coming season as it was the past year because it's the Reds. They've got cheap ownership. They don't really care about actually winning. I don't really understand why they own the franchise. They just care about breaking even and making sure that they have enough money to support whatever habits they've got. But, so longtime listeners of the show, listen to the podcast, you'll know this. My buddy Danny, his uncle is the equipment manager for the Reds. His grandpa, R.I.P., was the longtime equipment manager for the Reds. His whole family basically works for the Reds. And Danny's brother happened to be having a conversation with a relative a couple of weeks ago who just happened to know, and I was sworn to secrecy at the time. I guess I can reveal it now. He's like, I was walking through the clubhouse and just happened to notice that there was a meeting going on featuring Terry Francona, one of the Castellinis, Nick Kroll, and Kyle Schwarber and his wife. And that was the first time where I was like, don't give me hope. Don't. All of a sudden, I've got hope. For the first time in this whole process, I'm starting to think about this. I'm starting to entertain this. He wants to be here. If we make a minimal effort, we can land this guy. We can change the entire outlook of the 2026 season. Rumors start spreading this morning, Roman.
Uh-oh.
There's buzz out there. Positive buzz for the first time. Schwarber wants to be a Red. The Reds, they've at least put in an offer. The Pirates have put in an offer. Surely to God we can outbid the Pirates. As long as they just get close to what the Phillies are offering. We don't have as much money as the Phillies, but if we get in the ballpark, if it's a close enough to justify it, Schwarber wants to play for the Reds.
That's huge news.
Pat Kelsey's tweeting about it. I'm like, here we go. 5 seconds after I see Pat Kelsey's tweet, the news breaks. Kyle Schwarber's going back to Philadelphia. 5 years, $150 million offer from the Phillies. And in the story,
I didn't see this.
Yeah, they got him. In the story, there is a couple of nuggets out there that one in particular that just tears at the fabric of every Cincinnati fan's heart. That said, Cincinnati, the dark horse because of its need for a power bat and its appeal to Schwarber, who grew up about 30 minutes outside the city, did not meet the financial demands that others were willing to. Of course not. Now the details are coming out via Ken Rosenthal that the Reds' offer was for 5 years, $125 million. That is you just, we're not a big math show. That's $25 million less than what the Phillies were offering. I actually am somewhat pleasantly surprised that it was that close. I was assuming they were like 5 years, $90 million, and just Schwarber was laughing at him. But this franchise's unwillingness to go into its pocket is why they're never going to win a World Series. Again, at least under the Castellini's ownership. It's so frustrating. It's so obnoxious. And it's so hard to get your hopes up for anything good happening to you outside of drafting the right players and having them be really good for your franchise for like 3 seasons. That's it. It's your only hope because they're not going to go out there and sign anybody impactful. We're going to bring Austin Hayes back now. Maybe we'll get Connor Joe back in the fold. Miguel Andujar, give him a max contract, or at least as close to our max as possible. It's a sad day to be a Reds fan, Roman. Sad day. It's depressing.
Unfortunate.
We just have just no money to spend.
Do they have money?
No. Well, I mean, they have more than they're willing to spend. These are millionaires we're talking about. We don't have to be the second cheapest team in baseball. We're making money as a franchise. They spent like $136 last year. They made like $220. You can take those profits, spend them on players, but no, they're like, we got things we want to do. We want to fly to Aspen for the holidays. Aspen's more fun than winning World Series. Anyway, a couple things to get to on the actual Louisville side of things. People are like, please stop. That's it. That's the last one until at least April, probably. Basketball recruiting. Would you care to hear a little basketball recruiting now?
Always.
So we're looking at the 2027 class. Reese Alston, who's a 4-star, depending on what network you're looking at, 5 stars according to some. He's a point guard from the 2027 class. He will reportedly take an official visit to Louisville this weekend where he'll attend the Louisville-Memphis State game. He is a top 25 player in his class. He's also the son of former NBA player and &1 legend, Rayfer Alston, a.k.a. Skip to My Lou.
Rayfer.
Remember Skip to My Lou? Remember Rayfer Alston?
I remember the NBA player Rayfer Alston.
So I knew him more for the Skip to My Lou stuff.
I remember him for, the Orlando Magic?
Rockets, I know. Magic. Yeah, he played for the Magic for 1 year. He played for like 50 different teams. So Raptors for 1 year, Heat for 1 year, back to the Raptors, Rockets for 4 years, Magic for a season, Mets for a season, ended with the Heat, and then was a Los Angeles defender for a year after a season in Shanghai.
He played with Ron Artest on those Rockets.
He did.
I think.
That's exactly right. He was there for a while, averaged double figures for a season. Now, it's crazy because he was the first, he became more known it became well known based off of the &1 mixtape tour. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, &1, this predates you a little bit. Like late 90s, early 2000s, the &1 stuff became huge. I had friends who were on the baseball team who would spend their free time like working on their &1 moves. You weren't playing anywhere. It was just like it was something that you did.
I remember faintly hearing guys talk about I got to practice my &1 crossover in elementary school.
It was a huge thing when I was in high school, and there was a reality show on ESPN about it. They would go from city to city, and they would have these open runs, and then they would play a game against like the 5 best players, and they would do these crazy moves, and it would go on these. Oh baby! Oh, it was a huge thing. So that's how I knew Skip to My Lou. And he did that after this kind of funky college career where he played at a city college. He played for Jerry Tarkanian at Fresno State, and fizzled out. Just didn't really do anything in college, and then went to the &1 mixtape tour. Did that for a couple of years, became pretty well known, and then got a look from the Milwaukee Bucks. Like they saw him. They saw that there was a lot of genuine potential there. He struggled early to transition from street ball to the professional game, and then ended up turning it into a decades-long NBA career, which is kind of crazy. And now his kid might come here and play for Louisville.
That's wild.
Yeah, the whole story is pretty interesting. But
I was going to say he's a pretty fundamentally sound NBA player from what I remember watching him. Always came in and was just come in, hit mid-range jumpers, get by his man, never did too much.
Now, Reese refers to himself as Lil Skip. So he's like the younger Skip to My Lou. His Instagram handle is LilSkip08, which I kind of like. I think that this is a good thing. He's out of Houston, Texas. He's the 23rd ranked player in the class according to the 24/7 Sports rankings. Houston has been very heavily in on his recruitment for a number of years out there. Kentucky is viewed by a lot of people also as to be one of his favorites, but we're right there.
That's what happens when you bring in a Michael Brown.
That's what I'm saying. 6'2", 165, a lot of skills, a lot of flashy is what you would kind of expect. He just got offered from UK back in October. He took an unofficial visit to UK, I think, during their Midnight Madness event, and now he's going to be back in the Bluegrass State, except this time it's going to be to visit us. So we're good to go. This does kind of bring up a new question, which is we sort of swung and missed at the point guard position in the class of 2026. And there's still some work to be done in the class of 2026. We haven't talked about this, the fact that Bruce Branch III, a guy that has been linked to Louisville pretty consistently now, has officially reclassed. He's a top 10 player in the class of 2026, formerly in the class of 2027. That's a small forward, though. It's a little bit different. I think we've got a decent shot to land him. We're at least going to be competitive in that recruitment. But if we're looking at, and I know we're deep in the throes of this season, so we're looking way, way ahead. But like I said, we got a couple days here before we have to really hone in on making fun of Memphis State. What do we do about the point guard position next season?
What's the G League kid's name?
Something Johnson, right? I was going to say Kenny Johnson, but that's not right.
Kenny. I forget his name.
He's not.
I know he's not a point guard.
Well, he is a point guard, but I don't think he's the starting point guard next season.
I think he is right now.
London Johnson is his name.
That's right.
Okay, for the sake of the conversation, let's assume that we're bringing in London Johnson to be the Kobe Rogers for next year's team. Come off the bench, play 15 minutes a game, give you energy, focus on defense. But we need a lead guard
get the kid
for next
from
year's
Liberty.
team. Do you think we're going back portaling?
I think we're going back portaling.
I think so too.
So I think you go get the best guard available, and right now the best guard available in the high school rankings isn't coming here.
I think you want to get the best guard available, but you also want to make sure that it's somebody who fits what you do, the way that Michael does. You know, Chucky, we kind of had to finagle things around a little bit, but at the end of the day, it worked because he was willing to play up tempo offensively. He expanded his offensive game and brought that same level of defensive intensity. I think next year, and this is the good thing about recruiting misses in this day and age. It's like what we talked about the day that Tay Kenny committed to Kansas. We came on here and we said the same thing. You have a pivot now. Back in the day, if you swung and missed on a recruiting class, you were cooked for a couple years. You were going to have down seasons, and there was nothing that you could do about it. Now, I mean, we know that we've got money. We know that we have it to spend on next year's roster. You can go out there and you can have more money than most of your competitors in the transfer portal because you don't have a recruiting class coming in essentially at this point. I think we'll get a couple of kids from the 26 class when all is said and done, but we're not going to have to spend the lion's share of our funding on that. So you can go out there, you can get a point guard. What I don't want to happen, and I think the risk that you're seeing now is what's happened with Kentucky, where it's just, hey, he's the best player available at this position. He'll come here if we throw more money than he's worth at him. Let's just go ahead and take him. I think what we're finding out right now is that fit is monumentally important. We recruited to our strengths. We recruited to the system that we want our guys to play in, and we built the roster in accordance with that. Kentucky, it was just kind of like, he's good enough to play here, he's good enough to play here, he's good enough to play here. Yeah, they don't kind of fit together. Yeah, they don't really fit in the scheme of what Mark Pope has had success with over the years as a head coach. But let's throw money at them. We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
That kind of felt like their overall intention, like kind of their overall mentality. We've got enough good players. We'll figure it out. And I guess maybe they still can, but Lord knows
they can't.
It has not looked like it so far. I think this offseason will be even more fascinating than last year's. Last year's was so bing, bang, boom, and you knew you had Michael coming in.
And you were getting returning players who were going to be instrumental in the rotation.
For sure. I mean,
now you're getting, hopefully we can get a Faru back. Zugris, another year in the system, I expect to be even better and more of a player. Kanai, at this point, you're probably bringing back.
Hell, you can bring back Kaysen if you need to.
But that's what I'm saying. Kaysen and Kanai are your only two, kind of, there's no real guarantees, but there's a few guys on this team that are going to be coming back. Obviously, Kamara, a year in of learning how to play college basketball with no expectation, should have helped him a lot as well. You don't have a backcourt at all outside of hopefully Woolley, who I think is the best case scenario for him could be scary because you're talking about, I mean, hey, I'm getting second round looks, or maybe like an Ole Miss coming in saying, yeah, we'll give you $2 million to be our starting point.
Right.
So
ask Corin Johnson how that's going, by the way.
I really do think, exactly. I do think that you're going to have to do both, though. I think you're going to have to get like a young freshman guard that you can bring in that can play college basketball. Maybe he's not ever kind of planning to start. Like you want him to be Kobe Rogers in 2 or 3 years from now, who you're Kanai really at this point, just in the guard version. A guard version of Kanai if you can find one, and then go get an experienced. I mean, Chuckies don't. There's not even a Chucky in the portal every year, but
no,
the closest thing to it that you can go find. That's what I say. Give Woolley as much as you can, and then hope this London Johnson kid has learned what he has in his little pro stint to be a valid piece for us, because the returning pieces are I think why we kind of feel so good about this team going forward and the way we're able to operate and our versatility. You brought back so many guys who know how to play in the system better than the starters do. So
it's so dangerous now, because I wrote about this today for SB Nation going into tonight's Jimmy V Classic games. You know, Florida's got, at the beginning of the season, everybody said Florida's got the best front court in college basketball. Their front court's been even better than we thought they were going to be. You know, Alex Condon was preseason first-team All-American. He's averaging like 15 and 9. Ruben Chinyulu's averaging a double-double.
Yeah,
and then Thomas Howe is looking like a lottery pick. He's averaging 18.7 points. He's their leading scorer. He's almost average like 8 rebounds. I think he's their third leading guy in assists. He's been phenomenal. He looks like legitimately one of the best players in the country. Their front court has been even better than they think. And they're 5-3 and ranked 18th in the country because they missed on their backcourt additions in the portal. Yeah, I think so too. But like Boogie Flan's been up and down. Xavier Lee has just been a complete miss. He's shooting.
He looks like me out there.
He's shooting 24% from the field and 21% from three, and he's scored 5 points or fewer at half their games so far this season. Had a good game against Providence last week. Maybe he can build on that, but didn't do anything against Duke. And they've got no
His good games have been bad, not efficient either. So
he's not an efficient player, and I think people are realizing, you know, going out there and having the ultimate green light at Princeton to light up those nerds in the Ivy League is a little bit different than when you're trying to play alongside Boogie Flan.
There's some hoopers in the Ivy League.
There are. I don't want to. I mean, you know, we're recruiting the kid who was the Ivy League Player of the Year last year. He's transferring from Yale. He's apparently going to be on campus the next couple weeks. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if that guy exactly translates to the Power Conference game either. But you know, we've brought in some Ivy League players in the past. Who could forget?
There was one last year, I think, that transferred to a big school who did well. I can't remember his name. He was Big East or something.
There usually are. But, you know, I think who's our only Ivy League transfer? Who's the kid from Penn that Tony Hicks didn't work out great with Tony Hicks. He wasn't terrible, but he certainly was not the type of transfer that we were looking for at that point in time. So I'm missing the point here now. My point is, you misfire on the transfer portal, not only do you not get the benefit of having great production and a team that's capable of winning a national title, you don't get that money back. You know, it's not like Florida can say, ooh, we spent more than we needed to on Xavier Lee. I'm going to go ahead and need that refund now. Give me that Boogie Flan discount. Like, it's done. Like, you spent that money. It's gone. You misevaluated it, and it's why the job becomes so hard. You know, we could have the pieces, the foundation of a really good team for next season if we go out there and we prioritize one specific point guard in the portal and we throw a bunch of cash at him and we get him and he stinks. You're cooked. You're done. You've got to make sure that you get the right guy. And I think that we have a lot of faith in this staff's ability to do that because they're pretty much 2 for 2 when it comes to identifying talent in the portal and going out there and getting those players and then making it work. But, you know, Florida was pretty good at it last year, and then there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to do it from one season to the next. But I do think you're right. I think it's going to be a portal point guard, and it's hopefully going to be the right type of player that can lead this team because, you know, you expect to have, and then you got to go out there and you got to somehow find a way to replace the shooting that's going to be left behind by McNeely and Conwell. And that's not exactly an automatic deal either. So I think it's going to be a fascinating offseason, but every offseason at this point is going to be pretty fascinating, which is...
Yeah, Danny Wolf, Texter said, is who I was thinking of.
Oh, Danny from Michigan?
Yeah, he went to Yale.
Beast. I said beef. Beast. We do have a couple of... We've got some interesting games in college basketball tonight. We have a new bracketology as well from Joe Lenardi, Roman. Everybody knows I love Joe Lenardi. This is my guy. Spot on, the best in the biz. Would you care to venture a guess as to where he has Louisville seated at this current moment?
3 seed.
You would think so, right? The metrics say that Louisville's like a top 12 team. The polls say that they're a top 4 team. A top 3 seed. They're a top 12 team overall. He's got the Cards as a 4 seed. Playing, ironically enough, Liberty in the first round of the NCAA tournament. This is where Lenardi tries to get cheeky. So look at our little pod in the South region. Iowa State's the 1 seed. That's fine. They would play the winner of UCLA, Kentucky. Just below them, you got us in Liberty, and then St. John's in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Of course, he loves doing this little thing where he's like, oh, let's get people clicking on this. I hate Lenardi so much. I don't hate him. I don't hate anybody.
Clickbaiter.
That's an overused.
He's a master at it.
That's an overused phrase. It's 100% clickbait. Just get people. Oh, Patino versus Louisville in the second round with maybe a matchup against Kentucky looming in the. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. There's no point in talking about this, but we're doing it anyway. We're falling right into his trap. He does have us as a 4 seed. Would you care to guess as to how many ACC teams he has in the field?
5.
8.
Nice.
8 ACC teams, the same number as the SEC, which, by the way, the SEC is, they're Strug City a little bit. I heard Matt Norlander on his podcast talking about how he thinks the ACC is actually better than the SEC this season, which is crazy considering how large the gap between the two conferences was a year ago. But, yeah, 8 teams from the ACC in the field, 11 teams from the Big Ten, 9 from the Big 12, and then 8 apiece from the ACC and the SEC. The Big East is the big loser so far this year. They're getting just 4 into the field at this moment in time. Whatever. Get out of my face, Lenardi. Stop with this. A big night in college basketball ahead. Villanova, Michigan is going down at 6:30. Big spot for the ACC. I mean, this is a potential big win for the conference. Clemson is taking on BYU. I heard you and producer Matt talking a little bit about that on my drive in. That's the first game of the Jimmy V Classic doubleheader. The second game is the kind of the showcase game. Florida against UConn, 9 o'clock on ESPN. You've also got Big Ten Conference basketball. Illinois taking on Ohio State. Virginia's the only other ranked team playing. They're playing Maryland Eastern Shore. Kentucky plays tonight, don't they?
Yeah, I think.
Well, that can't be because I just said that Virginia was the only other ranked team playing. So I don't see them on the top 25 list here. What are you laughing at? Are they not ranked anymore?
They're not.
Oh, God. I've got to scroll all the way down to see what their game is? Oh, this is embarrassing. For me. I didn't mean to make that mistake. That's horrifying. Jesus, good Lord. My apologies to our BBN listeners. Kentucky, as I scroll down here to find the game, they're taking on North Carolina Central at 7 o'clock tonight on the SEC Network. They're 44.5-point favorites in that game. Hear me out. Hear me out for a second. We talked a lot yesterday about what happens if Kentucky loses the game to Indiana on Saturday.
There's no way, right? There's no way.
I love LaVelle Moton. If they were to lose tonight to a North Carolina Central team, which is technically 3-8 but hasn't beaten a Division I team so far this year, do you think they would would they legitimately fire Mark Pope before the weekend?
Yes.
I don't know if they would, but
if they lost to them tonight,
it's possible that they would just say. I think the more realistic thing is Pope, who sounded like the most depressed man in sports for the last month, would just step down before the Indiana game, which is maybe even funnier possibility. He would feel so bad taking the buyout money or being at the heart of that conversation. I feel like he would just leave.
Yeah. We'd be better off with Tyler Ulis at that point.
He'd go be an assistant at BYU for the remainder of the year, like a special analyst, and then just go back to he's like, I should have never left Utah. I was so happy out there. Everything was fine. I'm going to go coach at Grand Canyon next year. They'll take me at this point. But if he lost, I feel like it would just be over. It'd be done. The season would just be completely gassed. Don't think it's going to happen. They have, for all their flaws against teams with a pulse, they have beaten the hell out of every, terrible team that they've played so far this season. They haven't been pushing any of those games. I would expect that to continue to hold true. But if it didn't, it'd be one of the funniest things in the history of the world. It'd be incredible. Couple of quick nuggets to get to. I do love how much the Memphis State fan media is getting into this game on Saturday because they don't have another game this week either. They've been the Memphis Commercial Appeal is already having like a 3-part series on how big this game is. Gary Parrish, who grew up a Memphis fan, has been talking about how big this game is. It's getting me excited for this weekend. And Memphis is playing better basketball as well, so there's something there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll start doing our full rivalry talk probably on Thursday. Maybe we can get Darius Washington Jr. on the show. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Calipari on the show. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But there are things that need to be said about this rivalry that we couldn't say the last time that we were about to play them because we were so bad and things weren't good. But I'm excited about this game on Saturday, and then certainly very excited about getting a chance to redeem ourselves a little bit after last year's blowout when we play Tennessee on Tuesday. We have a couple other things to talk about a little bit later in the show. We'll get to those. But we'll get to the Game Day Men's Health text line after the break. 502-414-1450 is the number. Hit us up there with any thoughts you got. It's your hour next here on the Big X. Terrible start. It's the second hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, Tuesday edition here, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. What's the big soccer thing going on right now, Roman? I've seen you tweeting about it. I've seen a lot of people tweeting about it. What's happening?
Barcelona down 1-0.
But what is this?
Champions League play again.
Champions. I feel like every time you've talked about the Champions League, Barcelona's getting spanked around.
Yeah.
Are they about to be done?
No, not yet. It's the top 24 teams. I think we're still in that.
How many do they have to lose before it's over? Every time you talk about them, they're playing terribly.
Well, we had a great start. We had a great start to our Champions League play. We did get, I say great start. We had 2 wins. We're losing currently right now. We need a win here, though, after losing to Chelsea. But we're the 19th team, top 24 make it. If we win this one, we should be like in that 14, 15, 16 range. So we've conceded first most games this season, though. I'm not too worried yet, but Frankfurt is not very good, and they're beating us now.
You're losing to Frankfurt, Kentucky.
Eintracht Frankfurt.
It's not good.
No.
Wonder who Sananda's going for.
What was that?
Oh, I said I wonder who Sananda's going for.
Oh.
By the way, I Twitter searched Notre Dame because I was trying to find a specific tweet that I saw earlier today. Everyone's just dunking on Notre Dame. I love the fact that the top piece of news on Twitter about Notre Dame is Notre Dame unveils gritty basketball leprechaun logo. It's like, does anybody associated with Notre Dame give 2 bleeps about this right now? By the way, Marcus Burton, I think, broke an ankle, and he's out for like 3 months. Their best player, who I predicted earlier was going to lead the nation in scoring this season. That's not good news. It's been a bad week for Notre Dame. I don't think that anybody cares about the basketball side of things right now. But this AD, Pete Bavacqua, is one of the biggest losers I've ever seen in my entire life. Just going around talking about the damage that the ACC did to them. The ACC only sells out roughly 23% of the time. When Notre Dame goes to an ACC site, it's 90% of the time. And all this. Join the conference or get out. This whole notion that the ACC should have supported Notre Dame to an equal extent as it supported full member Miami is the most ludicrous, irrational thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. And there are a million ludicrous, irrational people in college sports. This is a level of just complete irrationality. I'm using the word again, that you don't typically see.
Yeah.
You're not a member of the conference.
What do you expect?
It's so silly. Like, you're not even like an in-law. You can't even make that. You're like a distant cousin at this point. It's just, this is the most entitled program in the country, and I just don't get it, how they don't understand why people are so upset about this. Awesome. You had 2 competitive losses to 2 good teams. Congrats. Your best win was over USC. That's why you're not going to the playoff. Schedule a better conference. Join a conference or schedule more aggressively. They're going to be in the top 12. Get out of my face. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Reminder, Game Day Men's Health, redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy, and more. If you have interest in any of this, visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Let's go to the text line. Texter says, I'm a podcast listener, so I'm just now getting to say this. This is the best current player's name in college, and it's Tennessee Rainwater, a junior guard for Lemoyne, the Dolphins. It's a good name.
I like that.
It's a fantastic name. Get him on the team. NIL. Let's go. Texter says, hello, Roman. Oh, this was earlier. Sorry. But he said, who do you think gets the Champions League spots out of the Premier League this season?
Yeah, we answered that one.
Is it going to be Barca? They're not in the Premier League.
They asked, Premier League.
Is it going to be West Brom?
No. Oh, wait, do they mean this season?
Yeah.
I might have misread that question.
He said this season.
I thought they meant like already in the Champions League this season. Well, we can't answer that if it's about the Premier League table right now.
West Brom.
We'll answer that tomorrow.
West Brom Wrexham. They're going up from the championship all the way to the Champions League. Texas, we need to keep Isaac Brown. I don't care what it takes. I just saw where they said we will have an NIL budget to win the championship. Well, they may not have said that. And it would be a very bad look going forward to have a top 3 running back in the country and not be able to keep him. The narrative that you have to go somewhere else to win because you can't at Louisville will be louder than ever. Pay that man.
I agree, but it's too much money.
Well, okay, and also, let's say, Texas swoops in, they offer him $2 million. And we say, okay, we can pay $2 million. He may not want to play here. We may say we can offer $2.4 million. And he may be just looking for a change of scenery. Maybe wants to go to one of the blue blood programs in college football, and I think he'll have that opportunity if that's where his focus is. If he wants to stay here, if this is a Reds Kyle Schwarber situation, then yeah, I would hope that we would at least get his money up in the ballpark of where it wants to be, of where other programs are offering, so that we could justify him sticking around for another year. I mean, worst case scenario on this, because I know there are a lot of people who are like, let Isaac walk. We've got good enough running backs. They maybe don't have his ability, but we can still have a solid running game. Invest that money elsewhere. Get a great offensive line. Bring in a great quarterback, and we should be okay. The worst case scenario for Louisville is you don't bring Isaac back. You have a good, not great team again next year where let's say we go 8-4 again. The running backs are fine, but they're not special. And Isaac goes somewhere and, wins the Heisman Trophy or is a Heisman Trophy finalist, which I think is a possibility. If he went to Texas and got 20 touches a game, I think he's good enough to go out there and win a Heisman Trophy, or at least be in that discussion, help them play for a national championship. That would be a tough thing to stomach. We've already had a lot of people, I don't know if you heard it as much as I did over the weekend, but a lot of people reaching out to me and saying, should have waited on Fernando Mendoza. And that wasn't even as clear cut. Like we don't know beyond the shadow of a doubt that we would have gotten Fernando Mendoza if we had waited and given him a little bit more than what Indiana was offering. But there were those talks that he was the quarterback that Jeff wanted the most, but he was concerned that we weren't going to get him. And then at that point, we would have lost Miller Moss, and then we wouldn't have had a backup option. But this would be, I think, even more difficult to stomach because he's a guy that played for you for a couple of seasons. I continue to have no idea how this whole thing is going to play out. I lean towards the side of believing still that it's more likely that he doesn't play here next year than that he does. I've heard nothing to change my opinion that I think at the end of the day, this is a guess, educated guess, we're not bringing back any of the three major running backs from this season, which I would hate because I love Keywan Brown. Isaac, I think, is the most talented running back naturally that we've ever had at Louisville, and would love to get one of those guys back, ideally both. But there are things at play here. We don't have unlimited funding, and I guess you have to draw a line somewhere. And maybe you also have some kids that just don't want to play here anymore, and there's nothing you can do about that. Texas says, I'm thinking about the Tennessee game next week. Do you think if we can't come away with a win and our offense looks similar to how it did in the first half against Arkansas, it becomes a trend that PK's offensive philosophy struggles against long, aggressive defenses? Both Arkansas and the exhibition against Kentucky, against Kansas, I should say, and opponents last season seem to have a similar mold. And when they've blown up our ball movement right from the jump, it's been highly effective. Unlike Arizona's style this season with an inside game or relying on points off turnovers under Rick to create offense, I don't know what the pivot is under PK against that type of opponent with a lengthy, aggressive defense. Roman, I'll let you take first swing at this one.
Skilled ball handlers that can get to the paint and get around those lengthy defenders and put them in tough situations where we get to the free throw line. Free throw shooting. That's my go-to. Players like Ryan Conwell and Michael Brown, who can pretty much force the issue and will themselves into the lane and get to the free throw line as much as they really want to in games that are officiated well, I think is the key. I think as long as you cannot be significantly out-rebounded, especially on the offensive glass in those games, that's where I kind of find the more of an issue. I think this year's build of a roster, I don't really worry all that much about us generating good looks when you've got that many good passers and that many good ball handlers. It's just a matter of screening, timing, and everybody being on the same page out there. And not wasting possessions. You can't turn the ball over against teams that can more times than not out-rebound you, but we haven't gotten deep in the playbook yet. He hasn't had to. He has an intense offense that can do a lot of different things that he hasn't even had to go deep into yet. I think that we'll start to see more of that against those longer, more athletic teams now that we know that there's a potential for struggle against those teams. But we've got a lot of skill with our backcourt, and I think ultimately that is going to have an advantage.
See, I don't necessarily think that this is okay. Let's say that what you're saying, Texter, is it happens. Tennessee kind of shuts us down the same way that Arkansas did, and it becomes a theme. I don't necessarily think that that's shutting down Pat Kelsey's style. You can play this style with more athletic players. We just don't have them. I think last season's team was not athletic. This year's team is more athletic, but they're still not. And we saw in the Arkansas game, we don't have the athletes to go jump for jump with that team. So I think it's more about the athletic style than it is the playing style. You can have great 3-point shooters that also are tremendous athletes. I think Michael is a really, really good athlete who can also do damage from the outside, even though we haven't seen it yet. But if they do blow up the whole we're trying to create open looks from the perimeter, we're trying to play fast thing in the same way that Arkansas did, I mean, you said it, Roman. The fix, the pivot, is what we did to Arkansas in the second half. You've got an NBA point guard on a college roster. You get him downhill. You have him beat whoever. I would say take the ball screen away. We don't need the extra defender in Michael's area.
Not on ball.
If he's
take
getting
the on ball screen away, at least the high one.
Yeah, if he's getting around Jacoby Gillespie with ease, which will be a task, but if he's gaining some type of advantage,
don't even bring the extra defender near him.
Yeah, you keep going to it, and you trust Michael to be a special player who makes the right decision once he gains that advantage. Either take it all the way to the basket, score, get fouled, or force them to overhelp and then find the shooters on the perimeter.
I mean, I think you're going to force him to foul. You're going to force him to. He's not quick enough on his back foot to stay with a player like Michael.
I think
most humans aren't.
I think when we get deeper into the season, one potential pivot that you'll see is to be able to do the same, have the same type of mentality, but play Adrian Woolley more, because I think he's the other guy. Ryan Conwell's shifty. He can gain that advantage off the bounce.
Yeah.
He can create the separation. I think he can get to the rim a little bit, but he's not against a really good, really athletic defender. He's more of just kind of a catch and shoot guy or a step back guy. McNeely, we kind of know he's not explosive off the bounce. I think Adrian Woolley can be, and I think once he gains more confidence, once he sees the defense lead to offense a little bit more, I think he's a guy that you can put him out there alongside Michael and say, either one of these guys can get things done off the bounce, let them go to work, let them create for themselves and for other players, and then I think that becomes the pivot. Because, I mean, we're going to play, if we're going to play deep in the NCAA tournament, you're going to face at least one team in those first 2 weekends that plays the same type of aggressive, physical, rely on our athleticism style that Tennessee does and that Arkansas does and that some of these other teams do, and you're going to have to be able to combat that. And we haven't handled it well over the last 2 years. There's no question about it. Texas, once Michael gets more confident driving to the basket, that's when he'll take us to the championship level. There are a handful of times each game where he decides to put his head down and get to the rim, and he looks unstoppable when he does it. Most of the time, though, he dribbles to open up his step back to the extent that sometimes his first step will have the defender beat, and he, for some reason, will cross back over and let the defender recover. This is why the physical on-ball pressure is so effective against him, because he doesn't make defenders pay for coming so far out of the three-point line to guard him. He absolutely has the ability, though, and I trust PK and Peyton Siva to point it out on film. You're not 5'10 anymore, Michael. Go dunk on these fools and do it consistently.
Yep, a little bit more north and south in his dribbling patterns than we do east and west.
Same. I agree. You do kind of wonder how much of this, though, is by design, where he's trying to initiate the offense, and the specific half-court set isn't calling for him to start off by getting south and tilting the floor and going towards the basket, or how much of it is what our texts are saying about him kind of being used to not having this type of size and kind of trying to set up his jump shot as opposed to set up his drive.
Everything comes after a hesitation, or before a hesitation, I should say.
But, I mean, you are seeing it more, where he's getting the defender off balance. I mean, he could have taken the Enright kid to the basket anytime he wanted to on Saturday. although he would have just grabbed him and somehow not gotten called for a foul. But
it was funny, the Saturday game, like, step back was there too. It's like that was the game to take those kind of shots.
Yeah, I mean, he's being guarded by a 5'10" kid that has zero athleticism. He should be able to get whatever he wants on that kid, and Enright being super physical worked a little bit, but I think also he was just trying to let the game come to him more than he probably should. He could have forced the issue just a little bit more. It's all a process. We've seen Michael at his best a little bit. I don't think we've seen Michael's best. I think even the UK game, we will see a better form of him at some point as we get deeper into the season. He's a freshman. He's a superstar. He's a hard worker. He's going to get more acclimated to the college game. He's going to evolve. He's going to be a different player by the time we get to March than he is right now. And I think that's awesome. I think that's exciting. Texture says, since Skip to My Lou's son is a possible future Louisville Cardinal, who is your favorite and one mixtape tour from back in the day? Personally, mine was Air Up There. Roman, you didn't watch any and one back in the day?
I mean, I did a little bit.
I mean, you had...
Let me see if I know any of them.
The Professor was the little white guy. Skip to My Lou's family. You had Big Escalade, who was Troy Jackson, who played basketball here back in the day. Mark Jackson's little brother. You had Hot Sauce.
I remember Hot Sauce.
You had... I'm just trying to see how many I can name now. Half Man, Half Amazing was a guy. The Helicopter. Imagine being cool enough to have the nickname Helicopter. That may be all I can remember.
There's some here. Headache. Half Man, Half Amazing.
I don't remember Headache. Half Man, Half Amazing sounds familiar.
I feel like Dribble Machine sounds familiar.
Dribble Machine's a terrible name.
Main Event. AO.
Main Event sounds familiar.
Helicopter, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Prime Objective. You remember that one?
Don't remember Prime Objective.
Lonnie Harrell.
Bone Collector.
Okay, I remember
Bone Collector. Terrible crossover.
Baby Shack. The Pharmacist. Now, this is the face that I was looking for.
Okay.
I don't remember the Pharmacist. I remember this guy's face, though. Jamar Davis.
The Pharmacist.
He was like, they had him talking on some video or something like that back in the day.
I think I was a Hot Sauce guy. I mean, everyone loved the Professor because he was little and he was white and he just tore people up. But I was more of a Hot Sauce guy. I enjoyed Skip to My Lou. That was the early days of And One was when I was kind of watching that stuff. It was entertaining, no question about it. Texas Tampa Card here. What's up, Tampa Card? I feel like this year's team is a power forward away from being a legit Final Four contender. If we had someone like Ray Spalding, I'd feel much more confident in our abilities. It makes me question what we were paying guys like Khalifa and Zugris, and if we just missed out on a few recruits or if we simply overestimated their abilities.
I think they surely knew what Khalifa was.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of looked at the roster, and once we got the three guards, once we got Conwell, Woolley, and McNeely, we looked at this roster and said we needed a physical, like 6'8", 6'9" power forward. And maybe it just came down to, like, they already had Javon Hadley, they already had Kenai Roots, they were kind of, I think, debating on Case and Pryor, but they felt like some combination of those three could fill that void and probably do so for less money than going out there and getting like a big-time, splashy four from the transfer portal. I don't know, but it does kind of feel like that's it. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on the show, especially in the wake of the Arkansas loss. There are, as much as we all love Javon Hadley, there are limitations to his game because of his size, trying to play the four position. Kenai Roots has shown flashes, but he's not. It doesn't seem to be polished enough to be a guy that you can rely on for 30 minutes in a big-time game. Kaysen's still injured. I think even when he's fully healthy, there are some holes in his game that makes him a little bit unreliable at the four. So, yeah, while you get good things from all three of those guys, there's not one of them that I think if you played Duke tomorrow for a trip to the Final Four, I don't know how confident you would feel in any of those three guys' ability to go out there and give you like 30 great minutes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think it's still like Hadley's the guy that you trust the most, and you just kind of live with it and then hope that when you run Kenai out there, he looks great, and then you can just ride the hot hand, or Kaysen looks great. I listened to Kelsey's radio show last night, and he was really singing the praises of the bench guys. I think he was trying to hype up a lot of different guys because there was a question Paul asked about Kobe Rogers and being so impressive, and he was saying, look, it wasn't just Kobe. He had great stats, but he loved the way Adrian Woolley was fighting for offensive rebounds. He said, I really love what Kenai gave us while he was out there. Kaysen, he's getting it. He had 2 steals, blocked a shot. That's kind of his game. He was hyping those guys up a little bit and talking about what great teammates they've all been. So I think that I think he's still hoping for a little bit more from Kenai, but I don't know if we're going to see that jump when it comes to like ball handling and sound offensive play to a degree where it's like he's the guy at the 4 by the time we get to tournament time. I think it's possible, but I'm not banking on it at this point. It does kind of feel like the one hole, but you get the right matchups, the right type of game against one of those teams. Let's say we play an Arkansas type team again in the tournament, and we go, 16 of 32 from 3. That can negate a lot of issues, and that's something that this team is capable of doing, even against really physical squads. Texture says, I've lost my place. I don't know what happened here.
Pick to end one program, St. X or LaRue County?
LaRue County. I noticed something today. So the King of the Bluegrass is going down, I think next week is when it starts.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I looked at the bracket, and there is a potential in the second round for Trinity to play LaRue County. LaRue County is playing, I think, a Louisville team. Trinity's they lost to Mail last week. I don't know how good they are, but we might have Trinity LaRue County in the second round, either in the consolation bracket or the winner's bracket. Here it is. But I take it back. This is the junior King of the Bluegrass bracket. Give me the damn bracket somewhere. I saw it earlier. I don't know where it's gone, but there's a very realistic possibility that we could get LaRue County versus Trinity. I think maybe we have to do the radio show out there.
I'll do it.
It's time. Go Rocks. I just talked about how I wasn't like a rah-rah, like alum of a high school. I'll go buy Trinity gear to wear to that game if they take on LaRue County. It's go time. Here's the bracket. LaRue County plays Fairdale, the hosts, in the first game on Thursday. Trinity plays Madison Central. I'm assuming that will be a tough game because I think they've been really good recently. So not sure that'll go for the Rocks, but we may get it would be a Saturday game. Trinity LaRue County. We'll do a Saturday show if the Rocks play LaRue County. It's personal. Texter says, podcast listener, I just want to say that I would like the Christmas lights guide you offered Roman yesterday. Okay, we can make that happen. Also, I wanted to say that as disappointing as the bowl game is, at least being in Florida could help with recruiting the area, right? Go play in the sun, get a W, and recruit hard. I mean, I don't think that that's as much of a big deal as it used to be. It's not like, I mean, the best sophomore running back in Dade County isn't going to be like, do you see Louisville blow out Toledo, man? Yeah. I don't think it's, that used to be a big thing, was the opportunity to play in front of some of those recruits. You can get in touch with recruits a lot easier now. There's a lot more day-to-day contact, and I think that there are, I don't know if you want to make it, to publicize the fact that you're playing Toledo 2 days before Christmas in a bowl game. It's probably not great. We're just 2 weeks away, Roman.
We are.
2 weeks from right now, Louisville will be playing the Toledo Rockets.
Not throwing the ball down the field.
They may or may not be coached by Vince Marrow at that point. We'll find out. Texas says, is Mary Rutherford excited that Chanel Jones is the permanent co-host of the Today 4th Hour with Jenna Bush? I've not talked to her about this. Maybe? I don't know who that is. I feel like she didn't watch the Today Show as much as she used to. Maybe I'm just, maybe we just haven't discussed it. But no, I'm not sure. She did fall in love with, we watched like this, some Disney Christmas special they had last week, and she fell in love with Coco Jones. And I was like, that's Donovan's girl. They're getting married. And she was like, what a couple. I was like, I agree. She's gorgeous. She's a great singer. Very talented. They're going to have great kids. Hopefully they run for president one day. Texas says, I heard this stat, but I needed to confirm it myself to believe it. UK's 35-point loss to Gonzaga is larger than any loss suffered under Kenny Payne. The 32-point loss to Texas Tech in year one was its largest margin of defeat. That being said, I'm still very offended by UK fans comparing Pope to KP. Is that true? Would you have guessed that, Roman?
No.
I mean, he's saying he went back and looked at it. So I mean, 32 points to Texas Tech. What other games were really bad? Miami, we lost to by 27.
We never lost by.
We never lost as much as Mark Pope lost to Gonzaga by. We lost. Okay, hold on.
That can't be right.
We lost to Pittsburgh by 34. 91-57. That's not 35. Look, didn't happen in year one. If it didn't happen in year one, it probably didn't happen in year two because year one was the worst team I've ever seen in my entire life. Now I'm going through it. We didn't. There's a couple 25-point losses in there, a lot of 17-point losses, a lot of 12-point losses. No. How about that? Is Mark Pope a worse coach than Kenny Payne? The numbers are starting to indicate yes. That's crazy.
Tonight, tune in tonight to find out.
I agree with every part of Boxcar Bob's text. One, I'm shocked by that fact. It makes I would have bet large amounts of money, which I don't have, that it wasn't true. Two, you still can't compare Mark Pope to Kenny Payne. It still makes me irrationally mad when you do that. We are not the same. Our pain is not equal. You'll never know what that felt like. Let's take a break. When we come back, more from you guys. Game Day Men's Health text line, the number 502-414-1450. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical. 1450 The Big X.
of my mood, then there's a part of me that's distant, quiet.
It's the 4 o'clock hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, Louisville's newest construction management company. 1450, 96.1, YouTube, Big X Sports Radio channel. Big X Sports Radio. A reminder, our guys over there at United Mechanical, John Burke and Company, they are your trusted partners for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give them a call any hour, any day, 502-339-1133. Corey will be there to take your call. You can also visit them online at UnitedMechanicalInc.com. I was looking at my email during the break, and I got this. I have no Christmas. Can't wait. Voice recorders. There you go. Style rules. A nice online subscription to the AP Style Book, because people are still using the AP Style Book. They care about your proper usage of abbreviations and what cities don't need their states after them. That's great. Or a great messenger bag. And then there's like 50 different books that you can get them. A sense of calm. Journalists are stressed. After a year filled with layoffs, press freedom challenges, figuring out AI in the newsroom, and more, why not give the writer in your life a gift that helps ease some of that tension? A neck massager? A newspaper-scented candle? Don't give. If you buy me a newspaper-scented candle, I'm throwing it in the trash. A set of markers and a cozy coloring book. I would love me trying to justify not parenting because I'm stressed to my wife and saying I need to color right now. I don't think it would go well.
No.
Or a new puzzle and puzzle board.
I'm not mad at a puzzle.
Okay, this is what I really want to see. The something fun section for the journalist or the blogger in your life. A typewriter, pen, or pencil holder. That's fun. For the trivia buffs, the Book of Unusual Knowledge. A Lego set. A fidget pen. A newspaper vase. Or a collection of 100 puzzles from the New York Times to solve in style, even when on the go. None of those things sound remotely fun to me. You give me a newspaper vase, I'm throwing it at your face. Throwing it right at you. Just not taking it. I've never been a big Lego guy either.
Yeah, me neither.
I get into it a little bit when the kids need some help, and I'm like, I see how this like sucks people in. But I was never like one of those kids that wanted all the unique, the crazy Lego sets and was just going to spend an hour doing them. That was just never really appealed to me. Maybe because I wasn't good enough at them, but not a big Lego guy. Basically, I'm saying that mediablog.presswire.com, its gift selection its gift guide is terrible. Get it out of my face. Another thing to get to, this was the quote that I was looking for, Roman, when we were talking about Notre Dame a little bit earlier. So the AD, Pete Bavacqua, he said this morning. We were shocked, mystified at what happened on Sunday. We had one of the most dominant 10-game runs in the history of college football. Would you like to hear about that 10-game run?
Yes.
They beat Purdue, 2-10.
Ooh.
They beat Arkansas.
Wow.
Also 2-10. They beat Boise State, a group of 5 team that lost 4 games. They beat NC State, 7-5. They beat USC, 9-3.
Okay.
Best win of the season. And it was a fringe top 25 team. They beat Boston College, 2-10. They beat Navy, group of 5 team.
Tough win there.
Didn't play for its conference title. They beat Pitt, 8-4. They beat Syracuse, 3-9. And they beat Stanford, 4-8. That is the most dominant run in the history of college football. Included 5 wins against teams that finished 4-8 or worse. 3 that finished 2-10 in power conferences. Most dominant 10-game run in the history of college football, Roman.
Terrible. Why would you say that?
Got it. I mean, what's the point in saying something that ridiculous? They're not going to change. You're out of the playoff. It's done. The season's over. You've already said we're taking our ball. We're going home. We don't want to play in your stupid bowl game. Saying something that outlandish and clearly false, there's no point. You're just whining. You've already got this ridiculous memorandum of understanding that benefits you in ways that are nonsensical to the rest of the sport. What more are you politicking for at this point? People to feel sorry for you? That ain't going to happen. Why say something this outrageous? You just sound stupid. There's no changing it. I think Notre Dame should have to join the West Coast Conference.
I think they shouldn't be allowed to play football.
Just kick them out. Every year they don't make the playoff, they get relegated. they go play in the FCS. You can go play in the FCS playoff the next year. And you got to wear, like, dunce caps instead of helmets. I think that's a fair punt. It's a fair rule. Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. You guys are keeping it rolling here in hour number 2. Texter says, this is our guy Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville. We have not talked about this yet. But Dave says, I got to say, Phillip Rivers was not on my bingo card. And the Reds not getting the one good free agent was very much on my bingo card. Text 2, the Nickelodeon football games are incredible, especially the announcers. They're so funny sometimes, but I especially love the SpongeBob one last year. Hilarious stuff. I know we have a decent amount of listeners that are Colts fans. Phil Rivers being brought out of retirement at the age of 44
can't be good.
And signing with the Colts practice squad is an incredible development. Now, have you seen, I guess, part of the justification for bringing him to the Colts?
Well, that it's AR still 2 months out. Riley Leonard can't play.
Well, there's that. But also, apparently, he coached his kids' football team, and they used the Colts playbook this year. So people are like, well, he already knows the offense. I'm like, does he, though? He's coaching youth football and running that offense. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be locked in when he's got a 350-pound defensive lineman bearing down on him. It's like, oh, yeah, little Billy ran this play against Caltech 4 months ago, and I knew where the check down was. I don't know if that's going to work. This man hasn't played in the NFL since the 2020 COVID season. And the Colts now, who see their season falling apart, they're now outside of the playoffs, I believe, at 8-5, are taking this is a Hail Mary of all Hail Marys with Phil Rivers. Maybe this is him just wanting to get away from his 17 kids. I don't know.
There's not a better free agent right now you can give a couple game checks to or something?
I mean, or like trade for Teddy to get him from the Bucs or something like that. You know, let's look at the list of best NHL free agent quarterbacks right now. Because there's got to be somebody better than Phil Rivers. Phil Rivers, he's 44. Bring Brett Favre back at that point.
I mean, go get the Jake Horner from the Saints.
So you've got Nate Sudfeld's out there. That's not a great start. Taylor Heineke, Clayton Tune, Dorian Thompson-Robinson's out there, DTR.
I mean, Heineke has played last year.
Desmond Ridder, starter 2 years ago. Could help you out. Bryce Perkins, we saw him at Virginia back in the day. Logan Woodside, I don't even know who Logan Woodside is. Tim Boyle was a Lion last season. Okay, maybe Phil Rivers is the best option. Maybe taking a shot on Phil Rivers is not as crazy as it seems. These names are not doing much for me. Who recently retired that you also could have recently retired NFL? They missed out on the boat with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Could have gotten Jameis a few weeks ago. Kind of cheap. Tom Brady. Brady played more recently than Phil Rivers.
Yeah. By like, what, a year or two?
Yeah. Peyton Manning. Tony Romo, get him out of the booth.
I don't think he's leaving the booth.
Josh McCown. Andrew Luck.
He's not leaving.
Look. Robert Griffin III.
They've surely called Andrew. Somebody made Andrew a call.
Could Drew Brees not come back?
Now, that's an interesting one.
Just saying. Eli Manning.
Doubt it.
He's still, like, he's playing those stupid in-character roles. He's still throwing. Let's go. Dave also says, can you get Gary Parrish on the show this week and make him admit that they're Memphis State? Also, I'm not sure I even want Isaac back. Too much money for a guy that wasted his year here. Only seemed locked in for one singular game. Move on. Gary's one of those guys. He has a lot of people reaching out for radio spots. I think we'd have to pay him. And I love Gary. I'm not paying him money to come on the show. But when he does these weekly spots at other stations, it's typically a paid appearance.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. He's on TV. He's doing writing. He does big podcasts. His time is money. You got to pay him. I'm not paying him. Love Gary. Texas, don't skip my original text. Okay. Riddler here said this in a while ago, but fill in the blank. Sonny Frew is the best Louisville big man since blank. I firmly believe it's Corgi. Also, Santa Claus needs to be the meme. Embrace Santa Claus, Mike. It's growing on me a little bit. It's the season, though. 2 weeks. Okay, we did talk about this, Riddler, when you sent it in the first time. Gorgie is clearly better than Sananda. The question is, do you have to go all the way back to Gorgie to get to somebody that isn't better? I went to Steven Enoch. I still think I would take Steven Enoch over Sananda. They're two very different players, but I think I would take Sananda. I would take Enoch over Faru at this point in time. Roman, where are you with this?
Enoch, 20 games off the bench, averaged 10 points, 5, 6 rebounds. It was his last 20 games.
He was super skilled. Now, this system, maybe not as much of an ideal fit. Didn't run the floor, but he could shoot the three.
I don't know if he's better than Malik.
Malik was another guy that I thought about. We never really got a chance.
They're built similar.
The injuries kind of wrecked what I think could have been a really good career for Malik here. Because when he was fully healthy, which was rare, he was a really productive player. And I think his defense, everyone liked to focus on the fact that he took too many threes and the offensive side of the game. He was a great defensive player. And I think he won Sixth Man of the Year in the ACC one of those seasons, maybe the 21 season, which was cut kind of the weird COVID-affected year. But he was a really good player. I think you could make a case for Malik, especially in this system, too. Now, he would not help with the whole, like, we're not physical enough in the paint argument.
No, not like Enoch would help a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sananda's a bigger body in the paint than Malik would be.
The weird thing is, though, I don't really remember most of those guys. Like, they didn't start much.
Who are you talking about?
Enoch and Malik, didn't they?
Enoch started the 1920 season, his last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a starter. The year before, I can't really remember if he was. I think he was the starter on the 2018-19 team that went to the tournament. But he was a good player. I would take him. But I do love what I'm saying for
definitively.
Yeah, I mean Gorgie's
first definitive.
He's Gorgie.
Don't think you can debate it.
I think Faru by the end of the season could get to a point where it's a near unanimous approval that he's the best big man we've had since Gorgie. Look at how much better he already seems after the first month of the year. He can keep developing. He can keep getting more acclimated to the American game. I think he can get there. He's been a lot of fun to watch, for sure. Riddler also said, P.S. Mike and Roman, my takes aren't extreme. They're necessary. No one has the cojones to take the actions necessary to position us for success. Riddler for mayor. PSS, Josh, you know what I want. Lawsuit, new conference, swoosh. I think the fame's gone to the Riddler's head a little bit here. He gets his own name, creates his own Twitter account. He's ruling with an iron fist now at this point. Getting a little too big for his riddles. Podcast Random Thoughts, guys, says PRTG here. If Big X could afford to sponsor a bowl, what would it be called and what's the twist? The Big X Bone Zone Bowl? The MVP gets to tackle TK into a baby pool of Henry Bain sauce. Does Roman know of the Piston great Vinny Johnson? Kobe microwave comment.
I've heard about it, I think. I don't know. I don't remember it.
You weren't around for the Bone Zone conversation. What would a Big X Bowl game consist of? What would we go with a name? I mean, Gameday Men's Health Bowl?
The Gameday Little Howard Bowl? Gameday Men's Health Little Howard
We don't
Bowl.
need to involve the UK people in this. They don't do bowl games. So they don't get a chance. The Big X game is going to be pretty just Louisville focused. I guess IU technically could be a part of it, but they're on to bigger and better things at this point.
The United Mechanical HVAC Bowl.
Just the Scooter Dingus Bowl. just call it that with no. I haven't had a chance to listen to Scoots this. I did hear a little bit of him this morning, but he was talking about sports, and I don't want to hear Scoots talk about sports. I need to hear about Scoots' love life. I need to hear how the gingerbread house thing went, and if he in fact found love with. Now he's referring to. I heard the clip his brother sent me from Michael Bennett's show, Just the Cats, and he was referring to the 3 women that were interested in him as cougars.
Ooh.
Is Scoots young enough to still be using phrases like cougars when talking about women that are maybe interested in him and slightly older?
No chance.
I think once you get to 30, cougars don't really exist. You can't call like once you're 33 and you're getting interest from like a 41-year-old woman, I don't think that constitutes cougar behavior. You're on a level playing field at that point.
You're a cougar yourself, Justin.
Cougars is like late 30s, 40s, 50s, going after like 20-something. I mean, Scoots is. I think Scoots still sees himself as like a young buck, and I mean, look, we're all getting older. It happens to everybody. You get into those 30s, they come quick, and all of a sudden you're not the sprightly 23-year-old that you were, seemingly just months ago. But I need to know if it was a love connection. He's like, hey, I need a Red Hot for my door. And they like reach in the bowl at the same time. Oh, no, you go ahead. I'll just grab some sprinkles. I need to know more about this gingerbread making love connection. Texas says, can we rewind back to yesterday and talk about how Mike said the guy on Indiana was a cheater? One of the craziest things ever said on the show. LOL. What? I feel like that's something you would say.
No.
Whenever we talk about players like doing dirty stuff, you're like, it's cheater.
Yeah.
Was this like an Enright comment about? Because if so, yeah, he's cheating. He's absolutely cheating. He's trying to cheat. I don't think that's one of the craziest things ever said. We say crazier things than that every single segment. Texas Papa J here. What's up, Papa J? Oh, I love good Papa J.
J.
Good afternoon to the best in Louisville. Few comments and a thought in question. One, Roman, keep up the great work you're doing, but don't overburden yourself and quit studying your craft. Good, accurate information is so important. I disagree with that. I am a big fan, but I worry sometimes that you're doing too much.
Well, yeah. We made a fix to that, Papa J.
Don't burn yourself out, Roman.
Yeah.
2, Frew, Woolley, and Pryor and Roots will all need to continue to improve over the next month for us to reach the Final Four. 3, defense still needs to improve also for us. Needs to be consistent every game out. 4, question, my last football question for this year. Mike, are we better off putting our money into line play, both offensive and defensive? I'm talking a line that me, a 65-year-old, could play safely behind, and a totally disruptive defensive line, or go with specialty players. As always, have a great rest of your show. I mean, it's tough to say right now just because we don't have a firm grasp on who's coming back and who's not coming back. But we kind of need specialty players for next year. If we're assuming, not assuming, let's just say the 3 scholarship running backs, the 3 top running backs from last year don't come back. We know Chris Bell and Colin Lacey aren't coming back. That leaves you, I mean, you've got to have wide receiver. I don't care if you have the best line and the best quarterback in college football, and they've got nobody to throw to, that pass game's still going to struggle. You've got to go out there and get at least one difference maker at wide receiver. You've got to find, I mean, are you that comfortable just riding with Braxton Jennings, Jamaris Wilder, Lakai Tompkins coming in as a true freshman, and Sean Boykins?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that combination can be good enough to be a successful running game?
You have a good O-line.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is a weird. If it were last year,
they ran on an SEC defense like it was good enough.
That doesn't count. It's not SEC defense. It's an SEC defense in name only. I really and truly don't know, because I think we're going to get a portal quarterback. If you want it to be good, like, that probably takes too much money away for you to have the idea of, like, we're going all in on the offensive line. I think defensive line, if you get Lubin back, the defensive line's got enough there that I think you should be good next year anyway, just with returnees. But I would love to have a really good offensive line, but not at the expense of, I think the only way you can do that is if you feel like your quarterback next year is somebody who's already on the roster. It's Deuce, it's Mims, it's Cherry, it's not going to be Brady Allen. It's one of those 3 guys. If it's not, you got to go out. Even a average portal quarterback is probably going to cost you 7 figures. And then you've lost the ability to say we're going all in on the offensive line. I think it's specialty players. I hate to say it. I think it's specialty players.
Yeah.
I want it to be offensive line. I just don't think. I think we were in that position last year. I don't think we're going to be in that position this year.
I feel like anything can be improved if you have a good offensive line as your base.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree with that, too. But, if we have Deuce Adams back there and he's just not the guy, and he's got all day to throw, what good does it do if he can't make the plays down the field?
Yeah, you don't have game breakers at running back.
Yeah, no receivers that can gain separation. It's just like you got to hope that these running backs can just treat every team on your schedule like Kentucky last year. Texter says, Mike, this is a little delayed, but I had texted in a while ago about some energy transfer stuff. Well, this is the guy who had sex with his wife to win us the game and then didn't do it the next time we lost. Well, I told my wife about this, and she weaponized the game of Monopoly against me. She started to threaten the downfall of U of L if I didn't partake in a round. I felt like this is your wife having to negotiate with you to have sex with her? I feel like this is an issue. I feel like I need to play marriage counselor here. I feel like if I didn't partake, I felt like this energy transfer thing had backfired, so I decided to start resisting her voodoo magic, and I'm happy to report that I felt like it helped us beat UK in football. I've resumed Monopoly now that she has backed off her voodoo threats, but how cautious do I need to be moving forward since we're deep into basketball play? Can I be lewd here?
Do it.
Keep banging your wife. Seems like things are going pretty well now. I don't think you need to be that cautious. I think things are okay.
I would welcome the voodoo magic.
I would say don't complain at this point. Seems like your sports fandom life is pretty good. Seems like your sex life's pretty good. Your marriage is happy. Don't rock the boat here, or keep rocking the boat, as the case may be. I don't think that's a crazy take. Texture says, a little dumper. So that line got removed on the heels of Utah taking a private equity. I think we're going to take some private equity money. What was this? He also sent in men's BBL boxers for $18. Looks like 3 quick fouls to me. It's a good tweet by Dave. Biggest biscuit. That's a Fru boxers right there. BBL boxers. So have you seen the Utah thing with the private equity?
Yes.
I
don't know what it means, but.
So Utah is their board of trustees has unanimously greenlit this $500 million private equity deal for athletics. This includes a $500 million capital infusion and operational expertise from the equity firm. A lot of people think this is the future. I don't think this is good. This is going to create an entire new business that oversees everything Utah athletics. It's going to be controlled by the wrong people. I don't understand how the investors make money on this. If you're a private equity firm, and I don't want to be the guy who's talking. Like I'm talking out of my ass a little bit here. I'm not going to act like I know more about this than a lot of people listening. But the general mode of operation for a PE firm is like you're going to take over a poorly operated business that has potential, slash costs, and then improve the business and sell it off with higher profits a few years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is how this typically works. And someone, if I'm talking complete nonsense, feel free to correct me. What's the MO here for the investor when it comes to Utah athletics?
Better sports.
And then you do what once Utah gets better at sports?
Gamble on them.
The whole thing is, I guess maybe it's just above my head. It feels like the downside dramatically outweighs the positive, which the positive is obvious. But this feels like it's a cash grab. It's a get-rich-quick scheme. It's an arms race for funds right now. You're seeing big donors at schools step up and donate hundreds of millions of dollars to their athletic programs. If you don't have that guy, you got to find some way to get that money. And Utah's like, all right, well, here's our option here. I just don't. I don't like it. I don't think anybody really likes it. I guess they see it as a necessity. I would hope that U of L never finds itself in this position, but certainly it does seem like it's more likely than not that this isn't going to be the last time we see a private equity firm step up and get directly involved with college athletics. We are reaching the, I don't want to say point of no return, but man, college sports are almost too far gone at this point. It's a crazy, crazy thing to see, but the money's there. The money's there, still there. We'll take a break when we come back. Hour number 3, a couple things that we have not gotten into just yet. We'll talk about that. We'll take a lot of texts. We'll get you ready for the night ahead in sports. Nice night in college basketball. A couple of, not a robust slate, but a couple of big games. We'll discuss that. And then we'll get you on to the ticket punchers. Keep it locked right here. Hour number 3 is next here on 1450 The Big X. Hour number 3 of the Tuesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Reminder, if you've been hurt in an accident or on the job, we know how much that can make the holiday season that much worse. If you want to make sure that you've got the proper mindset and you know that this problem is going to be taken care of, call the Collier Law Firm today. They have specialized in these exact scenarios for over a decade. They've had tons of success in the Louisville area. They will get you the most money for your recovery, and once that happens, they'll let you keep the most money for your recovery, which is why their attorney fees start at just 25%. At the Collier Law Firm, they got your back. They don't have your wallet. Call them today, 502-736-8141, or visit them online at collierlawfirm.com, COLYER lawfirm.com. Hurt in an accident or hurt on the job, call your law firm. Roman, we're going to play a little overreaction, proper reaction in just a second. But I wanted to give you this opportunity, since it's a little bit of an in-between day, to do like a Roman NBA minute. We've got 2 months of play in the book, in the books. The Thunder are historically good.
Yes.
Give me your quick rundown on I guess, the three teams in the best position to challenge the Thunder long term this season?
Ooh, that's tough because
Your Lakers are right there.
They are, and I keep trying to be realistic. I think the upside with the Nuggets is a bit higher than ours right now, just because you're seeing an unreal level of play from Austin Reeves. You're seeing him up that play without Luka or LeBron being on the floor. If I'm being honest, though, Mike, I don't think there is a contest.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this is someone that didn't believe in them until the second round of the playoffs last year, when I was forced to, because they beat my championship pick, the Nuggets, in 7 games in the first round, and then went on to pretty much breeze from there outside of the games, the 7-game series in the finals. They're even better. They are even better. They've got absolutely everything you need to be successful in the NBA. If Chet can stay healthy, there's nothing to stop him. Now, to answer your question, it's the Nuggets, Lakers, or Rockets. I don't think it's a team in the East. Heard it here first. A Western Conference team.
Our Pistons listeners are furious.
A Western Conference team will be winning the finals. I should have a pick. I mean, my pick is pretty much officially the Thunder.
I mean, how could it not be at this point?
Shea to repeat with both MVP and Finals MVP, and pretty much established one of the most historic 2-year runs we've seen from an individual in the NBA in quite some time. So,
let me ask you this: so the Thunder are 23-1. Who's their one loss to this year? At Portland by 2.
Yeah,
on November 5th. 23-1. This is their schedule. The next 5 games: versus Phoenix, versus the Clippers, at Minnesota, versus Memphis, at San Antonio, and then back at home against San Antonio on Christmas Day. Do they lose any of those games?
I think they lose one.
Do you want to pinpoint next loss?
Wemby's supposed to be back potentially Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That changes the outlook for those games, for sure.
So I think that's the one player that can kind of negate a lot of what they do. If they can get Stephon Castle back healthy as well for that matchup, I like the Spurs. Well, because it's 2 times they play the Spurs, right? You just
yes, back to back,
so
23rd and 25th.
I think that, if Wemby plays in both of those, they should be able to maybe get one of them. But yeah, they're on pace to break the current 74-9 or 73-9 record right now.
Okay. Are you ready for a little proper reaction overreaction?
Always.
Let's do it. We'll start with college football. Playoff related. So Ole Miss is a 17.5-point favorite over Tulane, and Oregon is a 21.5-point favorite over James Madison. Proper reaction, overreaction. Neither one of the group of 5 representatives in the college football playoff will cover the spread in their first-round playoff games.
Overreaction.
Which one do you think has a better chance?
I think there's no reason JMU shouldn't cover that with the way that that Oregon offense can look at times. Also now going through some changes as well.
Calling out the Oregon offense?
Yes.
You know who's in charge of the Oregon offense?
I am. I do.
I mean, you look at Oregon's resume, and I'm not trying to revisit history or saying anything, but like 11-1, clearly a good team. But what have they really done here? They got beat by Indiana at home. At the time, we thought beating Penn State in double overtime on the road was this marquee, crazy victory because Penn State was number 3.
The fact they took you to double overtime.
It looks like a bad game at this point for Oregon. They had fired their head coach 3 weeks later. They gutted out a road win over Iowa, 18-16. That's an okay Iowa team that went 8-4. They beat USC by 15. It's an okay USC team. There's not as much meat on the bone of that resume as you would think for an 11-1 Oregon team. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and lose to James Madison, but like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if their offense struggles a little bit at times in that game against JMU, and JMU loses by fewer than 3 touchdowns.
They come out and do some creative stuff.
I also wouldn't be shocked if Tulane, who knows what Ole Miss is going to look like. You've got this weird dynamic where your head coach is gone.
Yeah,
a bunch of the assistant coaches left for a brief period, and now they're coming back to help the team out for the playoff. They're clearly much more talented than Tulane. I think it'll be a crazy environment down there in Oxford. But, if Tulane only lost by 14 points, would I be shocked? No. I think one of these 2 teams will at least cover.
I think so.
These are big spreads in this game. And then the other two spreads for the playoff games right now, Alabama, Oklahoma, which we just saw a few weeks ago. Alabama's a 1.5-point favorite despite being on the road. And then Texas A&M is a 4-point home favorite over Miami. Let's go Canes. Let's make it happen. Proper reaction, overreaction. Notre Dame's whining will help their chances of getting into the playoff next season if they find themselves in a similar situation.
No.
I bet it does.
Overreaction.
Well, they don't need the help at this point. All they got to do is be in the top 12, right?
Yeah. It's all it's pretty clear cut.
It's now like law. We've somehow stretched the rules to accommodate our big, beautiful boys that are, haven't done anything of any sort of consequence, but got born on third base and thought they had a triple. Like this is.
They got gold helmets. They don't put the last names on the jerseys.
Have you ever seen Rudy? The whole premise of Rudy is that he never gives up, right? They just gave up the second that they got left out of the playoff. It's ridiculous. And also had crappy parents.
Don't want to prove anything in a bowl game. Not that I would watch. But.
Real talk. So, apparently it was the team voted for this. They did? That's what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
Apparently there have to have been a handful of players on that team, though, that wanted to play that game.
Yeah, 55% winning vote there.
I mean, these guys, they were, in their defense, and I certainly am not defending the brass at Notre Dame. I think they've covered themselves in crap the last couple of days. But they were safely in the playoff when they played their final game of the regular season a couple of weeks ago, when they went out there and they beat, who did they play? It wasn't USC, right? It was, they hammered Stanford. They went on the road. They won by 30. There were probably like 15, 20 guys that don't have great pro prospects who had no idea that was their last college game. That kind of sucks, You go out there, you play that game, you're thinking you've punched your ticket to the playoff, or at the very least you're going to get a good bowl game, and you're going to get to put on that gold helmet for the last time. Those guys had no idea that they were strapping on the pads for the last time in their careers, and that's got to be a terrible feeling, right? I bet there are some people that are really, really bummed that they're not playing in a bowl game. There have to be at least a few players on that team.
Definitely.
And I feel sad for those guys. I think that's terrible. It's a terrible thing to do to them. But big money people don't really care about that sort of thing. But also bleep Notre Dame. I hope they don't get in next time if it's the similar situation where they're right outside the top 13 or top 12, I guess. What do you think? Proper reaction, overreaction. Miami getting into the playoff gives the ACC the best chance it had of winning a game in the playoff.
Proper reaction.
It's got to be a proper reaction. They're the most talented team. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat A&M in College Station. I don't think I'll pick it. I think I'll probably think that A&M will hold serve. They've been really good at home so far this year. But would you be shocked if Miami goes down to Kyle Field and wins a competitive game against the Aggies? They got the most talent. I think they have more talent than A&M does.
Well, there is a dark cloud still looming.
What's that? Carson Beck?
Yes. So that, I don't know if you can do anything with that. But I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Proper reaction, overreaction, NFL edition. The Los Angeles Rams are the best team in the NFL as of right now.
Proper reaction.
Ooh, you think over the Patriots or the Broncos or the?
Definitely over the Broncos.
I think it's a proper reaction too.
The Patriots are. I need to go relook and see who they've actually beat. In my head, I feel like they haven't really beat anybody good. Like they've only got like two good wins.
They have. They've beaten 3 teams with a winning record this season.
Okay, so 3 good wins.
And they've only got 1 team left on their schedule that has a winning record. It's
the Bills, their
week.
next game?
Yeah.
So, I'll know this week.
If the question was the Patriots are going to finish with the best record in the NFL, that's a proper reaction. I think that they probably will. I don't think they're the best team in the NFL. I think it's the Rams right now. I mean, they whomped the Cardinals. Big game against the Lions this week for my Lions. We really need that one. But I'm going proper reaction.
I am too.
Proper reaction, overreaction. The Packers beating the Bears means they will absolutely win the NFC North.
Absolutely?
Absolutely. I'm just going to say I think it's a proper reaction. They got the half-game lead now.
I believe they're going to, so I'll say proper reaction.
I mean, they got a game and a half.
Not absolutely, though.
I think it's absolutely. They have a game and a half on the Lions, who they beat twice. They've got a game on the Bears, or a half game on the Bears, who I think they're better than. Their schedule down the stretch is pretty favorable after this game this weekend against Denver. I think they're winning the division. I think the Bears have a couple losses left in them. They're not 9-4 good. Ben Johnson's a hell of a coach. They've overachieved. Maybe they can go 11-6. Maybe they can go 12-5, but they're not going undefeated the rest of the way. Packers are winning that division. Proper reaction, overreaction, college basketball edition. Cameron Boozer is going to be your unanimous National Player of the Year at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think he'll have the stats. I think they'll have the wins. Proper reaction. I won't agree with this, but proper reaction.
I think it's proper reaction too. The odds. I saw someone post the Bet Online odds. He's like a 2-1 favorite at this point, which is crazy this early in the season. His
numbers are nuts.
On DraftKings, he's minus 360 to be the National Player of the Year. I know that his stats are outrageous. We're a month into the season. To be that heavy of a favorite is kind of insane.
Not more than half, but basically half your games to come against opponents that you should have beaten. You knew you were going to have numbers against like that. I guess that doesn't mean anything for the award, but
sure.
The minus 360, not taking that into account is kind of crazy.
It's nuts. I mean, just, it's also, injuries could happen. He could miss a month. He could miss the whole season. It is crazy to think that he's that heavy of a favorite this early. North Carolina's Caleb Wilson, by the way, is the second choice on DraftKings right now, which is kind of crazy as well. And the freshman class, very well represented on here. Michael Brown is like a 20-1 choice. He's down there. Yaxel, I think, is still – I believe in Yaxel. I think Michigan's going to be really good. I think he's a value play right now if you want to get some value. He's not even on the list at this point. Koa Pete is plus 2,000. AJ DeBonsa is plus 950. Michael is plus 1,400 on DraftKings. Michael Brown's actually like the sixth choice for the Wayman Tisdale Award, which is the best freshman. I think he's probably going to win. I'm going to ask you the same one we did the last proper reaction, overreaction. Proper reaction, overreaction. Louisville should be considered the favorite to win the ACC in men's basketball. Things have changed since the last time we asked that question. I think it's an overreaction now, too. Duke looks really good.
Yep. They've got the size to defend teams that are going to be tough teams. Well, we've been at a disadvantage so far in the one team we've seen like that. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it's tough for us to say that we are a better team when, we lost to Kansas in an exhibition. Duke beat them by 12. We lost to Arkansas. Duke beat them by 9. They also have beaten Florida. They've beaten Michigan State, and they've beaten Texas. They've got, without question, the better resume. Obviously none of those are conference games, but they should be considered, I think, the favorite going into league play. They've got it's either them or Arizona when it comes to the best resume in college basketball. And as of right now, they've got the guy that has the best numbers in college basketball inside in Cam Boozer. I think Duke's really good, and I wasn't sure that they were going to be this season. I'm kind of walking it back a little bit. Yeah, they're very good. Proper reaction, overreaction. The ACC, when all said and done, will get more than 6 teams into the NCAA tournament.
Overreaction.
Oh, you don't think we're getting more than 6?
I think it's right around 6.
I think you might be right.
I think it's literally 6, actually. You made me choose a number today.
Now, the league had a good weekend. You had a number of those teams in the middle of the conference going out there and winning kind of under the radar games that actually are going to help the league when all said and done. I mean, SMU beat Texas A&M on a neutral floor. They SMU's 2-1 against the SEC. They beat Mississippi State in a true road game. They lost to Vandy in a true road game. No shame in that. And they beat Texas A&M on a neutral floor. They actually play LSU this weekend. I don't know why they're playing so many teams from the SEC. Clemson, their resume right now is still looking okay. They've got to win over West Virginia. They've got to win over Georgia. Their 2 losses aren't bad. They could really use a win over BYU tonight. That would be a big feather in their cap going into conference play. But they'll be a fringe, I think, NCAA tournament team. Carolina's obviously good. Virginia got a huge win over Texas and Dayton last weekend. Two huge wins over those 2 teams. They've got a pretty light non-con slate coming up. There's no real hiccups left there. I think you feel Miami's got a piecing together a solid resume. That win over Ole Miss was nice. Their only losses are to Florida and BYU.
I'll say 7. I'll say over. I'll say. I think we can get 8 teams in.
I think you feel good about, obviously, Duke, us, and Carolina. I think at this point you feel good about Virginia. I think you feel okay about SMU, Clemson, and NC State. NC State has not been as good as we wanted them to be.
I think
Wake Forest is still kind of hanging around there. They don't get that big win that they were. I mean, Wake Forest should have beaten Michigan, who everybody is talking about as the greatest team in college basketball history.
Yeah.
They had them beat. They're the only team that's come within like 10 points of beating Michigan, and the only other losses are to Texas Tech by 1, and then that weird home loss to Oklahoma where they got blown out. They've got a decent resume.
I think Syracuse could be a bubble team.
Syracuse got that win over Tennessee. That will definitely help its cause. Their losses are all good. They went 0-3 at the Players Era Festival, but they lost to 3 really good teams from the Big 12 in Houston, Kansas, and Iowa State. So, yeah, they've got a fighting chance. I mentioned Miami. They've got no bad losses. They got a win over Ole Miss. I think we could get like 7 or 8, but I also would not be shocked if we cannibalize ourselves and we only get 6 when all's said and done. Proper reaction, overreaction. I think you may have answered this question already. Kentucky will miss the NCAA tournament and fire Mark Pope after this year.
I'll have to see. I don't know anything about his contract, but
they're not firing Mark Pope.
Yeah, I'll say overreaction to the Pope part, but I don't think they make the tournament. Proper reaction there. I don't think they'll get enough SEC wins.
If they lose to Indiana and St. John's these next 2 weeks, I'm going to join they're not making the tournament bandwagon.
Well, they're losing to both of those teams.
I don't know if they are. I think they're going to beat Indiana on Saturday.
They're not.
I don't know if they're going to beat St. John's.
They're going to win by 38 points tonight. I think the vibes are back good and high. They're going to go out to Indiana, hit 6 threes, give up 12 threes, and lose.
Here's the thing with the SEC is the bottom of the conference is, I think, better than the bottom of the ACC and better than certainly the bottom of the Big East. But it's not as strong in the middle as it was last year. I mean, there are people out there saying the ACC is the stronger overall conference than the SEC. So, again, Norlander was saying that on his podcast. So, Kentucky, if they have no notable non-con wins, which will be the case if they lose to Indiana and St. John's, they can't go like 11-9 in the SEC this year and be automatically in. You'll have some nice wins if you win 11 conference games in the SEC, but it's not like last year where it's arguably the best conference in the history of college basketball. And, you go 8-12, you're at least getting a look for the NCAA tournament. It's the terrible combination of you don't have the crazy good potential for wins like you had last year, but you've got everybody in the conference being capable of beating you. Like South Carolina's the worst team in that league. They're still a top 85 team on KenPom. But who's the best team in the SEC right now?
Florida?
Florida's 5-3, and they're number 18 in the country. Like if they are the best team in the SEC, that's not a good look for the league. You know the highest ranked team in the SEC is on KenPom?
Who?
Vanderbilt.
At where?
Number 8.
Wow.
They're 9-0. They haven't really beaten anybody of any consequence. The computers love them. But their best win this season is over St. Mary's or maybe SMU. Like, that's it. The other teams in the SEC that are top 20 on KenPom, Alabama's 13th, Florida's 14th, Tennessee's 18th. Like, those are good teams, but it's not like last year where it's Auburn number 1 in the country or Alabama way up there or Tennessee was way up there. Florida obviously was way up there and won the national title. Like, they had 4 of the top 5 teams 5 of the top 6 teams on KenPom last year at the end of the season. It's not remotely like that. That's a tough combination for Kentucky if, like I said, they don't win either of these next 2 games. And even if it's just the Indiana win at home, that win is not guaranteed to be that feather in the cap that you need to justify your inclusion in the NCAA tournament if you do go like 13-7 or 12-8 in the SEC this year. It's danger time for Kentucky, man. Like, it absolutely is. I thought that was a little bit overblown.
Nope. It is.
I don't think it is.
Their season's over.
Well,
they're cooked.
I mean, I think it's a little much. It's maybe a little bit much. All right, that was a good proper reaction over reaction. Let's go back to the text line. We'll take text for about 5 minutes before we close up the 4 o'clock hour. 502-414-1450 is the number. Texter says, the article that says the Reds offered 5 years for 125 mil, which is surprising. I was shocked. So the three offers that were out there for Schwarber, he's re-signed with the Phillies for 5 years, 150 mil. The Pirates offered 4 years, 120 mil, and the Reds offered 5 years, 125 mil. It's way more competitive than I thought it was when I initially heard the stories out there saying the Reds couldn't meet the financial needs of Kyle Schwarber. I was like, well, they probably offered like 5 years, 95 million. And 125 is close enough that I feel like if he really, really wanted to be a Red to end his career, he could have done it. Could we not have gone to like 135? I mean, Texas Mero just retweeted a tweet about the championship NIL quote. Of course. I mean, like, whole thing is strange. Whole thing is strange. Texter says, if you think this is a sad day to be a Reds fan, just wait until the day Ellie De La Cruz is traded for nothing in return because they can't re-sign him, or he leaves on his own accord in free agency. By the way, I'm a Reds fan too. It just sucks. The thing is, like, everybody expected that to happen. Like, we knew that was going to happen before he even got called up from the bats. So it'll be sad, but it's not unexpected. At least I had at least some mild hope for the Reds getting Schwarber or somebody impactful, and that's just not going to happen. Texas, hey, Mike, U of L student here. The semester is over, so basketball now has my full attention. I'm in a bit of a conundrum here. I've got tickets to the UK-IU game on Saturday with a group of UK friends. I'll be going after the Memphis State game. Beforehand. What should I do at Rupp? Not sure I'm emotionally ready to cheer for IU, and I would rather die than root for UK. If I must, I'm prepared to be an ungrateful host and cheer for what could be the nail in the coffin for Pope's second year. Either way, go Cards. Any word on Bruce Branch III? Seems like we're making big moves on him, and folks sound optimistic. That's the only thing that I've heard is that nobody's used the word favorite talking to me, but people say that we have a very good chance.
Give them a taste of their own medicine. Go full U of L gear, L's up the whole game.
At a Kentucky-Indiana game?
Yes.
First of all, what should you do at Rupp? There's nothing fun to do at Rupp. They don't sell alcohol. They still don't sell alcohol, right?
I thought they started.
Did they start?
Yeah.
Or is it like one of those bougie, we sell them but only in the suites?
Oh, that might be right. I thought they started selling alcohol this year.
Good year for it. I mean, do we think that is fueling the so they serve at the main concourse locations. They have hard seltzers, beer, wine, craft cocktails. So I guess they do sell it at Rupp Arena now. Okay, well, that makes it a little bit easier to have a good time beforehand. Get there early, enjoy some beer. Boo. Boo both teams. Just actively boo both teams. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else. I know we had some texts yesterday from folks who went to the game in Indianapolis over the weekend, and they were like, I'm cheering for UK. I'm cheering for Indiana.
Indiana has a better chance of being good
exactly
this season. Kentucky's season's chalked. They're cooked. They're not going to win another quad one game. They're not going to make that win against us or our win against them look any better. So, not really rooting for IU, but hoping they win.
So, I'll never get to a point where I hate anybody as much as Kentucky. Like, Kentucky's arch nemesis one. They always have been. They always will be. Even if I had the mindset of these are two equal evil forces working against one another, I despise Indiana just as much as I hate Kentucky. You choose maximum pain, right? Kentucky losing this game at home against a team that they've kind of looked down at for their entire existence, but especially the last handful of years. They finally agree to play them on a court location, on a campus location. It's a game that it feels like if you lose, you go from DEFCON 2 to DEFCON 1 as a Kentucky fan. The game means more to Kentucky than it does to Indiana. And when that's the case, if you hate both teams equally, you root for Indiana in this one because they will take a loss much easier than Kentucky fans will take a loss. Go Hoosiers. Rock the candy stripe. That's too much. Don't put on the candy stripe pants. But get drunk, have fun, boo both teams. but cheer for Indiana.
Also want this trend to end where teams we play and look like good wins start looking like bad wins after we play them. Need Indiana to be a good team.
And UK might be too far gone for that to happen.
Oh, they're fully gone.
Okay. They may not get above 500.
They might as well fire Pope now.
They're going to lose to NC Central tonight. Might happen. Let's take a break. When we come back, final segment of the day is upon us. We'll run through the text line. We'll make some predictions for the night ahead in sports, and we'll hand things off to Roman Kelly and the Ticket Punchers. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
Early morning wake-up call on Big X Sports.
About to do some bad things.
About to go break the law.
Get your kicks for free. That's the way we do it. 5 o'clock hour here, the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. The last segment of the day, we're going to run through some texts here at 502-414-1450. Get you ready for a nice night ahead in sports. A little bit. We don't have any action anymore. No NFL tonight, but a nice night of college basketball. A good slate. Well, I mean, a couple of games in the NBA on Prime Video. Heat Magic should be a good game. Knicks Raptors should be a good game. We'll make some picks there. But Jimmy V Classic on TV tonight. Worth staying up late for that night game, the 9 o'clock game between UConn and Florida. So we'll talk about that. We'll get ready. Ticket punchers, do you have your punches lined up, Roman?
Got a couple.
Okay. Well, you have to keep it locked here from 5:30 to 6 to find out exactly what Roman's spending money on.
UConn money line, BYU minus 5.5.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, Clemson.
I don't hate you for that. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Reminder, Game Day Men's Health, redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy, and more. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com to figure out what they could do for you and make 2026 your healthiest year yet. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Roman, have you watched any Christmas specials, by the way?
Not yet.
Christmas special guy?
I don't know. Yes, but not yet.
Here's what I do.
I want to go see a Christmas play, though.
Christmas Carol's back at Actors Theater this year. First time it's been back since in 6 years. Pre-COVID. We used to go every year growing up. It got a little expensive late when we had more family members, so we don't go anymore. But it was a nice time back in the day.
Having some wine and intermission. It's nice.
Not a big intermission wine guy. Not at Actors, at least. I do this thing during the holiday. When I've got time, when it's not like I'm falling asleep to a college basketball game, I love pulling up old holiday episodes of 90s sitcoms or other shows and like falling asleep to it. Frasier, Miracle on 3rd or 4th Street, fantastic episode of television. That's a suggestion to go watch. Any of the West Wing Christmas episodes are great. Ted Lasso Christmas episode is fantastic. The old South Park Christmas episodes are very good. Every American Dad Christmas episode is good. Big into the holiday shows. And then I get to also rewatch the old ones with my kids. We've watched Rudolph, Charlie Brown, Garfield Christmas, the all-time GOAT. We're very festive.
Holly's got me hooked on some cringe TV.
Oh, no. What is it now?
It's that TCL stuff.
Still, you mean TLC?
Yeah.
Like the Mormon Wives or whatever?
No. Now I'm watching Before the 90 Days.
90 Day Fiance.
90 days. So
there's a precursor to 90 Day Fiance.
Before the 90 days. Holly doesn't even watch this one. Like this, she fell asleep. This one, come on.
You can't blame Holly then if she doesn't even watch it. You said she got you hooked on this. She got me hooked
on the before or the 90 Day Fiance, and then the one after that, which is like the tell-all or whatever. I don't know.
So you're saying she was a gateway drug. She gave you a little bit of weed.
And now I'm watching the Before the 90 Days because it's the nuttiest one of all. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
She gave you one hit of marijuana, and now you're just smoking crack
every night, waiting for her to cut it on. Cut this off. Nobody cares about the Eagles. Cut my show on. I don't know how to find it on here. I don't even know how to find it.
I'm worried about you.
But the Before the 90 Days is after the sports get cut off, the Before the 90 Days gets cut on, and I've been watching. I mean, these people are insane. They're just.
That's why they're on TV.
We met yesterday. I'm moving to Morocco tomorrow to marry him. I don't care what you say. And her best friend's like, oh, well, that might not be a good idea. It's just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Can you imagine if you pitched to your group of friends something like this?
I met this girl over in Indonesia.
Cool, right?
We've been talking for a week or two. I think we're going to get married.
Would your friends be supportive, or would they shake you and say
they would laugh at me, make fun of me, and then kick me from the group chat?
I feel like I have certain friends that just wouldn't want to say anything, that are just like the type of friends who are overly supportive in any way, shape, or form. But I also feel like I've got friends that would just be like, you're the dumbest human being that's ever lived.
She's 60 years old. You don't know what you're doing.
I'll never talk to you again if you do this. Like, you're an absolute idiot. Don't come crawling back to me in 2 years when you realize that we were right and that you're dumb. I'm not going to be your friend again. I feel like I've got those friends that would do that, and I appreciate those friends.
I don't even have, like, my friends aren't old enough to be that mature about it. They'd be like, every possible scenario that could happen that's negative is what they would say. Like the details to it.
Morocco's weather.
She's going to make you work. She's going to make you work in a sweatshop. You're screwed. All kinds of crazy things they'd be saying.
These people have no qualms about it. Maybe I'll check it out tonight. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Text says, you might have talked about this yesterday, but how dumb were the robot replays? We did talk about it yesterday. You know what would be better than watching a digital robot dunk the ball? The actual future lottery pick doing it. It's about as dumb as the Booger Field Station they did during Monday Night Football that blocked the view of the first 10 rows from seeing the game. I didn't see that.
That one was silly.
The robots were. The thing that sucks is CBS clearly paid a lot of money for this technology, which means it's going to be all over the place during the NCAA tournament. Every tournament game, we're going to have robots taking threes and weird camera angles.
Show it on the flagrant fouls. I want to see it on that.
You want to see a robot get punched in the face?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sidestep three. Nobody We just saw it. You just showed us the highlight and then showed us the robot highlight.
It added nothing. There was not one part of me that was like, ooh, I got to see the angle of the basketball going slightly from a different perspective than I did live. Like the live highlights were way better. Texas says, Mike, I heard you yesterday refer to the date of our bowl game as Christmas Eve Eve. The unofficial formal way to speak of December 23rd is Christmas Adam.
I think I've heard that.
No. It's an Adam and Eve. It's Christmas Eve Eve. Or it's Festivus. It's one of those two things. That's what you call it. Texas, I disagree that we have to keep Isaac Brown. Running back is not a position we need to unload our NIL on. O-line, quarterback, and biggest need on defense should be the focus. Skill players can come from high school or lower tier NIL deals. Let me ask you this, because I feel like this has become...
Go get a Ja'Cory Brooks.
God, that'd be nice. Are we overreacting, speaking of overreaction, proper reaction, to the Kentucky game? Because I feel like if you asked most people going into the Kentucky game, do you think we beat Cal and Clemson if we have a healthy Isaac Brown? I think most people say yes. And if that's the case, then, you know, we're playing SMU for hell, I think we may have gone to the playoff, the ACC championship game, even if we'd lost to SMU. If we had 2 losses, we would have won that 5-way tiebreaker with the other 6-2 teams. So, you could make the case that if we had a healthy Isaac Brown, we would have played for a conference championship and had a shot to go to the playoff. And now, because we dominated Kentucky so thoroughly, I think there are a lot of people who are like, well, you can throw any running back out there in this system with the right offensive line and they can put up numbers. Do you think that maybe we're overreacting to how badly we beat a Kentucky team that couldn't have cared less about playing in that game?
Probably a little bit. I think there's something to be said about guys who have spent the whole year in college football finally getting their chance.
Sure.
But you're not going to – that wasn't a Clemson defensive line. That wasn't a Miami defensive line. There's no real gauge just to what that game meant for – in terms of what you were going up against. I wasn't under the impression what we've got we're good in the backfield. If you're losing both – not both. If you're losing all three, both Browns and Duke, you needed to go – probably get 2 backs just because of the lack of experience that we've got. Do we know if either one of those guys can block for an entire game?
That's a great point.
We don't know that. We haven't seen that. So I think I'm okay with losing all 3 backs if you retain everything that you've got. If you get the continuity in the running back room with the young guys, go and get you a Donald Chaney type of back. Go and get you a Maurice Turner type of back that's maybe coming in with 1 year or 2 years of eligibility to just be that guy can play at that level. And then keep adding the young guys to that, seeing which one's going to be that second back for you or that future back for you. So I was never under the impression that we were going to be good with all 3. I think, though, if you spend some money on your offensive line, you bring all of them back and you go get a couple experienced guys, you should be okay with what we've seen from running backs so far in the last 3 seasons.
We're talking about 2 guys in that Kentucky game that had barely played. They had fresh legs at the end of a season. Who knows if they can do it for 12 full. We haven't seen a running back stay healthy for an entire season in like 8 years at this point. So, it's a gamble. But it's like in today's world, for a program like Louisville, even if we are going to get our NIL funds up, there still has to be somewhere where you draw a line. There are still going to have to be areas where you choose to invest heavily at the expense of other areas. If you don't feel comfortable with your quarterback situation and you want to invest in a quarterback, okay, cool. You're going to have less money to bring back one of these running backs, or you're going to have less money to invest on the offensive line. Like, it's a picking and choosing type deal. And that's going to be the case moving forward every single year until the rules change.
I think going and getting Clev, if you can, is
huge.
Let me not say that. I was going to say more important than getting Isaac Brown, but that can't be.
I think it might be.
If you're signing up for another year of what we just got from Isaac Brown, then definitely is. But with Isaac's upside, he can be the most explosive player in the sport.
That's the thing, man.
We saw that on 4 runs the entire season.
If I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that he was going to be fully healthy next season and fully focused and engaged and dedicating every part of himself to trying to win every game for Louisville, I would say break the bank.
As soon as the kid gets a little bit hurt, he doesn't want to play.
Yeah, you can't have that guarantee. And I think that there were real injuries at play this year for sure.
No, definitely. But
I think there was also a little bit of I don't really want to practice before certain games. And
Injuries change how
don't
much
like that.
Your drive. If injuries change your drive to compete, that's not a good sign. I'm saying it now.
Yeah. Texas, what's the portal to online difference this year compared to previously? 2 years ago, Tyler Shuck had committed by now, and Moss was on his visits to Missouri. And here this time last year, committing a few days later. Portal doesn't open until later, right? So we won't have a better idea on entries and departures until mid-January.
They moved the open date, right? Or is that next?
There's only one now portal
right.
window, and it is shorter and it is later. January 2nd through the 16th is the only portal window in college football now. You've got a 15-day period where all the moving and shaking is going to take place. Now, the only
That's not good enough for me. I need my quarterback by Christmas.
No, it's not going to happen. The only exception is if there's a coaching change, you get a new 15-day window after that happens. But those will be rare because since all the coaching and moving and shaking tends to happen in December these days. But yeah, January 2nd through the 16th, that's when you'll find out officially who's in the portal, who we're bringing in from the portal. Now, is there cheating going on? Of course. Like you've already got the official transfer portal Twitter account is tweeting out guys that intend to enter the portal, and you feel like that's wrong. But at the same time, you need to know, like we selfishly as a program that's going to be portal heavy again this year, we need to have as much of an idea of who's going to be available and who's not going to be available as possible so we can do our due diligence during these weeks and figure out who we want to target.
It's not a lot of time to talk numbers for an entire team.
I mean, it's crazy. We're not like, especially imagine you're a portal QB. You're going in the portal. You want to visit some of these programs. You got 2 weeks to take your visits, hear the pitches from the respective coaches and programs, and then make your decision. That's not a lot of time. Plus, it's right at the beginning of the winter semester or the spring semester. Texter says, going to the Montana game on December 20th. I'm taking my daughter and making a weekend out of it. It is nice that the Mac and Payne eras are gone and new fans can get back into the team again. She's become a huge fan since PK has arrived.
Love that.
I don't think she's alone. I think there are a lot of people that, my friends who have kids that are a little bit older, like 11, 12, 13. Last year was the first season that they really got into, and now they're hooked.
I've got buddies my age.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that...
The group chat yesterday is asking me, Roman, explain a quad one win, please.
No, I love it. I think there are a lot of people who got disengaged, and now are being brought back into the fold. Texas, if we lose all three running backs, I will lose some interest in our football program. I'm fine with bringing in 30 new transfer guys or whatever the number is. I'm not fine with having no roster continuity at the positions that make the game exciting. I want to root for guys I get to see for more than 12 games.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes it, but it's the way that it is right now. Texas, not sure if you guys mentioned him, but can't forget about the and one legend Escalade, a.k.a. Troy Jackson. I did. Well, I will never mention and one without bringing up Troy Jackson's name. Roman Hater says, Mike, what other games under Kenny Payne were really bad? Me takes a drag off cigarette, all of them. Yeah. I just was trying to find one that was worse than 35 points. Texas, wait, Mike had faith in the Reds doing something that makes sense. Yeah, it's my fault. My fault. Texas says, hey, Mark, I realize you've watched more SWAC and Patriot League games than NBA this year. This is true. But can you believe Utah State legend Nehemiah Queta is starting for the Celtics? There are a couple guys out there that
I couldn't tell you where he went to college.
Like, I'll have SportsCenter on. Like, after the game last night, I'll have SportsCenter on, and they'll have some NBA vignettes where they're talking about guys that are playing real. And every now and then I'm like, that guy's, like, lighting it up. Like, I'm shocked at certain times about hearing. I can't remember who it was last night. Somebody from Iowa State, besides not Tyrese Halliburton, who was like a good player, but not somebody I expected to be an NBA legend who they were talking about playing so well. It's just, did not expect my big, beautiful boy from Portugal by way of Utah State to be lighting it up for the Celtics. But they're dealing with some injuries. Texture says.
Were you thinking of Jerice Walker last night?
No. Texture says, for me, Mike, I'm finished. I told everyone that this season was college football playoff or bust for me. And since Jeff Brom busted, I'm done and out on him. In my opinion, Brom is an effing loser and will never get Louisville where it needs to be or should be in the college football playoffs. And I don't want to hear any discussion about an extension for this loser until he can prove to be a winner. So you won't extend him, but he needs to prove to be a winner? That's works against itself. And by the way, our bowl game is absolutely pathetic. What's the point?
Like 2 years ago, me would have loved this text, but he's the most winning coach in the ACC since he's been there. I think still by a couple wins. He's knocked off a playoff team this year, 2 playoff teams this year. He's gotten a big win each of his 3 years. Granted, he's not winning at the end of seasons. That's kind of being another thing that I wanted to bring up.
It's kind of hard.
What's happening at the end of these seasons, Jeff? But outside of that, I mean, it's hard to win games in college football right now. Probably the hardest it's ever been. And he's doing it at a high level.
I'm not saying
literally 4 games.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm ecstatic about the last 3 years or that I think he deserves to be a top 10 highest paid coach in college football or anything like that. I do think it's a little bit outrageous to say that the guy who's won more games than any head coach in the ACC over the last 3 years is an effing loser. I think that's he's winning a decent amount for being an effing loser. I think that there certainly were things this season that were worrisome. There were games that absolutely have to be won if you're trying to take the next step as a program, but I think that's overly harsh. Texas, why wasn't it a 12-game run, Notre Dame? Just basic math. Texas, Notre Dame saying they played the best 10-game stretch in history is the most trumped-up Trump statement I've ever heard. Texas says there's nothing wrong with watching the Monsters, Inc. version of the game last night. Don't forget, Trevor watched the entire Little Mermaid movie by himself as a grown man in his 40s. Yeah, but Trevor just watched every single movie. Trevor watches every movie that's ever been made. Doesn't do anything else. And then just keeps going. Texas, can you get Gary Parrish? We got to pay Gary. Texas, Mike, why do you sound pessimistic about a source saying U of L will have enough money to do more in the portal than the last 3 years? If it wasn't the case, then why would Jeff stick around? That's not what I said. It's not U of L having more money than they've had in the portal the last 3 years. I think they will. It's having enough money to win a national championship that I think is overstating things. That's all I'm saying.
I got a question in the DM yesterday about your pessimism, Mike.
Okay.
You want to hear it?
Yes.
I had to correct the texter, so you're going to hear this and then know it's not immediately correct. But it says, Roman, Louisville is 2-1 in Quad 1 games. They meant 1-1, not knowing that Kentucky had dropped. With 9 remaining Quad 1 opportunities at the moment, we have many more Quad 1 opportunities than last season. Why is Mike being so negative? He's making this narrative that we play a super easy schedule, when in reality it's harder than last year.
It is. We went 18-2 last year to get an 8 seed. My point is, I don't think anybody is saying if we go in 18-2 in the ACC this year that we're going to be an 8 seed. My point is we're talking about trying to win a national title this year. We're viewing things from the perspective of trying to be a top 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah.
We right now don't have the safety net to make that happen with the non-conference schedule not being as – I'm simply looking at the non-conference schedule and saying it's not as tough as we thought it was going to be before the year. That's not a hot take. Kentucky stinks. They were a preseason top 10 team. Cincinnati stinks. We thought they were going to be an NCAA tournament team. Arkansas beat us. They'd already lost twice before that game. Indiana lost to Minnesota before we played them. I think the jury's still out on how good they are. Memphis has 4 losses. Tennessee now has a couple of losses. That's all I'm saying. And then you look at the ACC. Yeah, we've got a lot of tournament teams. We have a lot of Quad 1 opportunities. My point was, who is that like marquee signature victory in the ACC?
They can't look away from you if you've got that type of win.
Yeah, besides Duke. And there's not like who else in the is there a team besides us and Duke that you look at and say, I think they could win the national championship?
No.
Same.
But I do think that there is more Quad 1 opportunities in the ACC this season, simply.
No, that's not a debate. There is.
So that should be a pretty big push for us when you're looking at a much better Quad 1 record than last year.
Right, but again, we were an 8 seed last year. The expectation is not to be an 8 seed this year. We're viewing things through the lens of what do we need to do to be a top 3 seed.
Because what was that? We didn't even have a win like that last year.
No,
Clemson was that.
We beat Clemson twice, and that was it, pretty much. You know, we went 18-2 in the ACC, played for the conference tournament championship, and we're an 8 seed. That was the extreme of all extremes. I'm not sitting here saying that that's going to happen again this year. I'm just saying I think we all thought that if we navigated this non-conference schedule with only 1 loss, we could go like 12-6 in the ACC and still have a chance to be a top 3 seed, and I don't think that that's going to be the case. we've got more work to do in conference play if we don't win this Tennessee game than I think we thought was the case. And if we want to be a top 2 seed, we probably need to win one of the 2 games at Duke. That was my whole point, was you need that signature victory to separate yourselves from teams with similar resumes when you start doing the S-curve stuff with the 2, 3, 4, 5 seed lines. And if you go 0-2 against Duke and your best win at that point is like Indiana on a neutral, it's tough to make a legit case that you should be a top 3 seed, even if you have a gaudy record.
Well, I would think we could potentially play them 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, we played them 3 times.
Or even 4, really, if it got matched up in the tournament.
We played them 3 times in 2021. It's happened before. Probably happened again. I saw a wild stat, and I know I said we'll get more into the Memphis stuff next on Thursday. But from a 4-year stretch between, I think it was 83 to 86, there was a 4-year player for Memphis and a 4-year player for Louisville. They played each other 11 times.
Jeez.
Because they had, back then we played in the regular season twice every single year, and then 3 of those 4 years they played in the conference tournament. So you had 4 years, 11 games against each other. That was the peak of the rivalry. It was crazy.
Did it have players? Did it have specific names?
What do you mean?
Like of who the players were?
Parrish tweeted it out. I mean, I guess we could look at the Louisville rosters and see who played those 4 seasons. But Andre Turner was the player that he was talking about. Played from 82 to 86 at Memphis State. Played Louisville 11 different times.
That's crazy.
So there was a great deal of respect for each of us that we had for each other. We went at it, though, against Louisville. But in my professional career, I ended up befriending all of those guys. He's now the...
I was going to say, whoever that is has to be friends with those guys.
Yeah. He's now the director of player-alumni relations. Yeah. That'd be a tough stretch to play Louisville 11 times in 3 years. We were pretty good from 82 to 86. Texture says, as Chris Plummer, on Fridays when I'm off and I don't have anything to do, I've made a drinking game out of listening to the show. I drink every time Mike says COVID. More often than not, it works. I mean, just pre-COVID, post-COVID. I mean, I think that is Chris the Plumber not acknowledging COVID as a thing? Texas, look up what Coach Barclay said about Boykins in fall camp. I'm not worried about the running backs at all. I know they're high on Sean Boykins. They thought he looked really good. Still. Texas, Mike is shocked by Frew's big-ass drawing fouls when the guy came up in the Brazilian butt league. I shouldn't be. BBL. Texas says, don't we have to assume that any university taking private equity money for athletics will be slashing almost all non-revenue sports in the very near future?
Not us.
That's why I hope we don't do it. Texas says, JMU or Tulane will win a game in the playoffs.
I don't know, Dumper.
I don't think it's going to happen. I hope you're right, little Dumper. I'm rooting for it. Texas, PK brought Case into the side before putting him in the IU game and said something in his ear for about 5 seconds. In the postgame, he said he told him he loves him, and I'm calling BS. I think he told him that whatever he does, he can't go out there and punch the mustache kid in the face. What do you all think he had to say to Case? It definitely was not I love you. It was something like
go out there, play your game, let it come to you. Something like that.
Chris Plummer says COVID equals flu. I mean, 99.9% of doctors say that that's the most ridiculous thing, but we don't need to get into it. Also, as someone who had long COVID for like 3 years and still feels the effects. Hard disagree. Going to a number of specialists. Real quick tonight, we've got doubleheader in college basketball, big-time matchups. Clemson, BYU. BYU's a 5.5-point favorite in the Garden. Roman, who you got?
Give me the Cougars.
I think BYU wins and covers here. I think that this is my big bet of the night. 9 o'clock, the late game. Florida and its struggling backcourt against UConn and its now healthy team. UConn's a 3.5-point favorite. Who you got?
Don't think this is actually the best front court matchup for UConn, but I like the backcourt for UConn a lot more. They'll get it done. Give me UConn. 3.5, they cover.
I think UConn wins and covers here too, but I don't know. That one I'm a little bit more iffy about. Enjoy the hoops tonight. Enjoy the whatever you got on your slate tonight. Ticket punches are up next. I'm back tomorrow at 2:30. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
The Mike Rutherford Show was brought to you by United Mechanical. John Burke's United Mechanical is your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration.